tested every week in AFL footy. We've been tested over the last couple of weeks. We're the form team of the competition at the moment, so we look forward to that test.
Can't get to 12 wins till we get our 10th, and that's our aim this week.
So here come the Sydney Swans at the Paul Kelly race, ready to go. The Indigenous jumper that has been designed by Adam Goods' mother, all set to go. Looks fantastic. Both teams looking magnificent in their respective jumpers tonight. And that is, as I said, Sir Doug Nicholls' Indigenous round. Wonderful to pay tribute to the great Sir Doug Nicholls, the first Indigenous man to be knighted, the first governor, Indigenous governor, the governor of South Australia, and the first Aboriginal player to play for Victoria. What a man he was, Sir Doug Nicholls, and why wouldn't we be talking about him tonight? There's Paul Kelly. Is that Mitch as well?
Mitchell, yeah.
Yeah, there he is in there. So Barry Mitchell watching his son tonight, who's in ripping form at the moment. So some big names in the crowd. Enjoying a frothy or two on a Friday night, watching the boys get around. How good's that?
How good is that? There's Doug Nicholls there. I tell you what, he was put together, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Have a look at him, and they reckon he was an absolute live wire whippet. He was as quick as lightning. Must have been an amazing man as well as an amazing footballer. A million people will watch this game tonight. 1 million people will see this game. So if you're not on, you're under the microscope.
You're going to have a good look, at particularly when the lab gets stuck in there. For Ultra Tune, let's go back in. It's not the Breaking Bad lab, but some of the decisions coming out of there. I don't know what's going on there. Come on, boys. What do you reckon? Waite's better than Franklin tonight?
I've got the blue and white on tonight, Ed. I've got a man a good case, so I've got to have something to look forward to.
What are you doing, Jared? You're being magnanimous.
It wasn't a question, Ed. It was who would you rather be on? And I think Waite has got more opportunity because he'll get the third best defender, but he gets the team.
Fair enough.
We digress. Let's get back to what we're coming here to talk about. Kurt Tippett's the other forward that can be obviously a gun ruckman, Jared, but he's had a fantastic season. You can see his rankings as opposed to the other ruckmen in the competition. Number 1 for goals, number 2 for contested marks. He's a big frame. He's exactly what the Kangaroos haven't been able to clamp historically.
No, he's been a terrific pickup. Started really coming good midway through last year when he went into the ruck, and he's continued on. The bloke they really need to come with him is Callum Sinclair. Got his hands to a lot of balls, close to goals last week, and dropped them. He's got to turn those nearly marks into big clunks.
Just wanting to see whether Todd Goldstein can get the complete game put together. He's been able to get forward and kick goals over the last few weeks. We know that he had a 5-goal game against Melbourne and got himself out of jail in a lot of ways because they were mauled in the hit-outs and around the contest. It's a big night tonight for Todd. I think he's been down a fraction. He's probably still, if not in the top 2 or 3 ruckmen in the competition right now anyway. But I just think there's a big test for him tonight.
Well, he's going to have major competition. The question is who do they use as a second ruckman if they want to spell him. But he's at his very best when he gets forward and kicks some goals. And if he can do that and really stretch the Swans' defence, and it's stretched at the best of times at the moment, then he could be a significant factor.
We accept your feedback, take it on board, Ed, and we'll reassess our previous work from here forward.
Well, I'm just squaring up for all those votes you've been robbing off me later in the night, which I'm sure will come through.
Good you don't hold a grudge, though, Ed.
What's that?
It's good you don't hold a grudge.
No, I don't hold any grudge whatsoever. Just write them on the list again. Boys, we're getting set to go. This is going to be a ripping game of football, as we've said. Significant night, wonderful moment. Look at this, Buddy Franklin going in for the toss of the coin. Lindsay Thomas, I presume, will be there for the North Melbourne Football Club, and it's just a wonderful gesture.
Daniel Wells.
Daniel Wells, in fact, is the acting captain tonight. Just two wonderful players. I mean, when we see these two guys in action, there are no better players in the game. Daniel Wells, his silky smooth skills, the Indigenous flag in the centre of the SCG. And Daniel Wells wins the toss and kicks to the right of screen. Boys, as we're getting set now to get into this game, what is going to be the defining issue in this opening term?
Well, I don't think that the opening term, every term is important, Ed. But this is going to be an attrition game. This game will be decided. We'll say it was to and fro for the first 3 quarters, Bomber. This game could be decided in the last 5-10 minutes.
Absolutely could be, and I think there's a few real critical things. That is, if North need a man back to stop them from having those easy goals because they're very dangerous forward line. The other thing is they have to move the ball quick, Dermot. You know, and North Melbourne, if they get stuck and they haven't got anyone to go to, and they just see man on man, they've just got to move the ball quick because that's the only way they're going to score a goal. The other one is the clearances and contested ball. they really, whoever wins that, I think is going to win the game.
Totally agree with the clearances and contested ball, but the tree talls are the ones for me up forward. Can they kick a score in a windy conditions against the Sydney defence, who's sort of undermanned slightly with some young fellas in there? That'll be a difference there. And the contested ball in the middle, and then all of a sudden, if you can get Tippett and Buddy down up forward and Heaney, gee whiz, there's no better forward line than that.
We're going to be talking each break, Ed. Can they, will they, won't they? And then the next break we'll be talking about the other team. It could come down to the war of attrition in the last few moments. This could be like last kick of the night, a win like that.
Tim, you played a fair bit up on the SCG. How important is it for the North Melbourne forward line has played so well to not get in each other's way? Because it gets a bit tighter.
So easy to jump from the same ball on that forward line. You actually have to get real separation from each other.
Yeah, and the Swans do that beautifully.
Yep.
They are masters of their own domain. And what a night it is. The Indigenous flag fluttering over the famous SCG, our Indigenous game ready to go. And Sydney Swans, one of the great clubs in the competition, up against the top of the ladder Kangaroos on Friday Night Football.
Whoever gets Grundy's got to take him high, get him out of that area in the back line and get the youth in there and see that they can work him over.
No more talk. Let's get going. Indigenous round 2016.
They look awesome. Goldstein taps it down. Charging in was Jack. Wells comes away with the football, fitting, drives it down towards half forward, up in front, missed by Laidler, falls to the ground, Waite, hand passes up in the air, Mills has got it, down he goes, Brown tapped it to Harvey, out of the congestion, Grundy stolen by Waite, now a chance in the pocket, Zeeble looks back over the shoulder, spears a pass towards the middle, missed Harvey, small target, waiting behind McMillan, Harvey butters up again, gives it to Cunnington, Cunnington misses everything, it's out of bounds on the full.
Did the team thing, Zeeble, but probably in a position to almost have a shot from that pocket.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded that, Bruce. He had time and space just to settle himself and have a real ping.
He worked hard from the centre bounce and really got forward hard. They just surged onto the ball, North Melbourne.
So Cunningham held up, Cunnington again, and a boundary throw in.
A couple of early matchups, boys. Dane Rampy's got Drew Petrie. Grundy has got Ben Brown, and Laidler has Waite, so he'll be playing undersized.
So Laidler for Waite, that was the one we thought Rampy might get. It's always going to be a challenge for the Swans. Jack turning and twisting, he's one that didn't play in that semi-final. That's a great kick to Franklin, another who didn't. McGlynn gets the advantage, neat kick, Cunningham doesn't quite complete the mark.
That was interesting because the umpire was allowed to pay the advantage, so he paid the free kick to Buddy, not the mark.
He's looking for Franklin to be lurking here. Now Cunningham just too far out, you would think. He thinks now Franklin.
Well, he's not.
80 metres out, it's not too far for this bloke. He wants to go.
Oh, don't dare pass it, Buddy. Not the way you've been kicking the footy. He's kicking it better than he ever has.
I agree.
Yeah, he's in fine form from this range.
Does he get the first goal in the Indigenous round? No, not quite. A little hook at the end.
He's done well over his career against North Melbourne, including that famous 13 as a Hawk back in Launceston. Round 13, early going in the season. Now, though, he's been very impressive. There goes the kick inside the forward 50 from McVeigh, it's good. May not have been touched. Ferrito lunging back, missed it. Well, the old 7-point play. But he missed. Ferrito, an unlikely follow-up.
Quiet start to the year. McVeigh plays mainly off half-back. Been a goal kicker in his time. Great player. Fantastic player over the stretch. Just been finding his way a bit this season.
It was a risky kick by McKenzie coming out the back. Just couldn't quite find the target of Drew Petrie. Jared McVeigh read it so well, and that is class finish from the experienced Swan. Terrific goal.
So Sydney strike the first blow here. Wells again. So he had the opening kick of the night from the centre square. Gets it deep inside. Smith, Thomas, high.
does that so well, Lindsay Thomas, doesn't he? Took possession and then just slightly, just watch him go low, just sort of half bends that knee and gets a high tackle.
No duck of the head, is there?
No, there's no duck.
And leading with the head.
No, and people have been critical of Lindsay. That's no duck. That's clever.
So 7-11, there's been so much talked about his set shots over the stretch. He had the horror couple of years and then he got right on top of it, but he's been wobbly this season. This will give him a great start. He's kicked it well. Gets the first for the Kangaroos. An interesting career, hasn't he? I mean, a good one. He's a maligned player in some ways. He's done the odd ill-disciplined thing over the years. He can take a coat hanger.
Nearly 300 goals. As Wells has been important in the start of this game. 2 centre clearances, just so important on this ground.
Absolutely. Yeah, close to 300 goals. Small forward. Good effort.
Good effort.
Okay, Rocks.
Sydney by a point then. Tippett and Goldstein. Pivotal duel, as we said. On the way down, Goldstein, Del Santo, quick hands, Zeeble kicks it down towards half forward. Awkward bouncing ball. In trouble, Petrie, locked up, and will have a ball up right on the 50.
They're the number one scoring team from centre clearances, the Kangaroos, and they're off to a fine start tonight, 3-0.
Hanbury, terrific last week. So too Kennedy. Parker taken high. So Parker at half back, looking out wide. On the move, the youngster Hewitt. He was impressive. The longer the game went last week, the better he got. So too Lloyd. Hard runner. Kicks it down towards half forward. Sinclair got a hand to it. Heaney at the back. Miss Franklin. No chance for Thompson. Tidies up. Del Santo comes short and finds Zeeble. And Zeeble's taken this mark. The defensive side of right centre wing.
So he goes with a long kick. Brownie's target. Had a good fly. Smith's hands okay. McVeigh, the opening goal scorer, misses a target and a boundary throw in.
I wonder if Jared McVeigh just meant to miss that handball then. I don't see him miss too many of those. If he was happy to make it look as though he was giving to a teammate but get it over the line.
Might be right, Lingy.
Experienced player.
Hadn't thought of it, Lingy, but you could well be right. Tippett back now. Parker trying to get on the burst. He's in trouble, I think. Now he's able to just release it. Lloyd, Del Santo turns him over and the ball up. So Parker decided not to go with the kick. Looked up, nothing in front of him.
North Melbourne have got a number back. It's Scotty Thompson back there, just staying behind Buddy Franklin, not letting him get goal side.
Lloyd, hurried kick down towards half forward. Franklin rises high. Cunningham. Mitchell, so good last week again. So many of these Swans outstanding in that victory over Hawthorn. Centering ball, and it finds Jones. He's told to play on. Short one. Heaney got his fingertips to it. Jamont gets back, lays it off. Thompson in trouble. Loops a hand pass to Jamont. Transferred the trouble. He's immediately tackled about 35 metres out and will get a ball up.
Thank you, Trent.
Heaney. So Goldstein comfortably wins it. Ball not out.
Expect to see a lot of this tonight. A lot of congestion, a lot of contested footy, hard tackling. Both teams have got that experienced hard midfield that we've spoken about already.
Sinclair did really well there to Kennedy. Lloyd, Jamont ripped him down. Good tackle there. And gone. So Sydney, they're going to get a shot at goal here. Kennedy against Gibson.
It's the perfect tackle. You've got to swing a boot or... No, you can't drop it. Line is here.
So you heard the umpire about praising the tackle. So can Joey go all the way here? Don't see him have a whole heap of set shots like this, do you?
No. They're not a big goal-kicking midfield, a few of these Sydney guys, and even North Melbourne as well haven't kicked a heap of goals this year.
2 for Kennedy only. Well, he's on the board, so McVeigh and Kennedy get the openers for the Swans.
Well, that's a part of their game, Lingy, that they'll want to improve as the season goes on, because we know that Buddy's their number one target and they go to him often. Tippett's hitting the scoreboard also. Heaney's up there, but they've got to get more goals out of that midfield group, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Parker's one that can do it, obviously. So they are on the players. Guernsey on the ground tonight for the Recognise campaign. It's the campaign to recognise the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in the Australian Constitution. It's a fantastic weekend of AFL football. So the Swans off to a pretty good start now.
Lead by 7. Kennedy finds it on the deck. Marsh making his debut, going as far as Waite. Comes back to Waite, literally handed to him by Goldstein. Harvey stopped it effectively. Mitchell. Hanbury put in a spot. Mitchell comes back to redeem that situation. They battle inside the centre square. Swallow at the base of the pack.
Tackling machine is Swallow.
Comfortably the leader in the competition.
Tippett, only as far as Cunnington. Kicks down towards the pocket, bounces towards the boundary. Grundy tracks it. Had a good game last week, Heath Grundy. Had his critics leading into that one, but really played as a tall defender very well. He's done that for a long time. So boundary throw in right full forward.
Saw the time in the forward half for both teams early in this match. Jack read Goldstein well. So Gibson still hasn't missed a match since his debut. Up to 95. Ben Brown, the biggest flyer. Tippett had a fair bit of it. McVeigh had a little bit of it. Brown getting involved again. And the ball in dispute and the ball up.
We don't even bat an eyelid anymore about some of these deliberates, but Jack was being tackled as he kicked that. Hard to control that one. But the players now have to adjust. It's got to come back more corridor. It just can't go to the boundary. Otherwise, it's paid.
So Goldstein, Tippett can't go. Oh, well done, Goldstein. It was a brilliant tap to Harvey. Misses Gibson. McGlynn was very good. McVeigh gets it from Kennedy, the 2 goal scorers.
Short of the wing, Rowan comes up, takes the mark. Wants to go. Very lively customer. Well kicked to lobs it. McGlynn takes the mark. Looks back towards the corridor. Flooding back North Melbourne. But there's a man in behind them, Hewitt. The kick goes in his direction. Tracks it close to the boundary. But runs away and goes out, and Buddy's not impressed.
No, had to go to Buddy then. The handball just didn't look outside himself then. It was on McGlynn, the handball to Buddy, and I reckon he would have run inside 40 and kicked a goal.
Had a paddock in front of him.
Sinclair in front. Goldstein with a judgment, though. Swallow didn't appear to have the footy. Mitchell trying to get it out of there. Cunnington fell at the feet of Hanbury. Gee, heavy lifting in there. Jack tackled by White.
Yeah, Tarrant's making a decision to go with Buddy for a certain point and then hand him over to one of the other defenders. So Wright was sitting on him at that last stoppage up the
Sinclair did well, got to the front. Hanbury, quiet start for him. Wait, Jack's been busy, well played. Got it to Mills, Mitchell cut it off, I think it was for McGlynn, and now Mackenzie should be able to get North out of trouble. Neat kick, good mark, taken by McDonald.
Couple of left footers combining there. McDonald up from the back pocket. Low trajectory kick. Rampy leads back in the race now. Turns the defence around though. Rampy needs some help. Needed a shepherd there from Marsh. Runs himself in and out of trouble. Gets the kick back towards the wing. Courage shown out there by Jones. And I think he's going to get the free kick. Going back with the flight of it, Jones. On the other side.
In a 1-on-2, that is courageous, not knowing what's coming. It's a good way to win respect from your teammates doing things like that, only in this game number 23.
Tarrant from behind thumps it out of bounds.
Runs in the family, I think, don't you? So North with the advantage there.
1 metre.
So, again, Tippett, Goldstein, Kennedy and Wells.
The guys.
North are not a big possession team. Only twice this year have they had a player have 30 disposals in a match. It was in the same game, Harvey and Gibson. Swans have had a heap. I mean, Hanbury's had 30 plus in 6 of the last 7 matches he's played. coaches. So Tippett able to get away from Goldstein there, but didn't take advantage of it. Did well though, Tippett. Now Jack squeezes it. Heard the call from the ump. Stood up well, Marsh, so be happy with that. Tippett's hands, back to Tippett. Tippett off a step.
The outside of the boot goes wide. Rowan, that foot speed again, serves him well. Gets across there, hustling. Just outside the 50, centering ball. Franklin favoured by the kick, reaches over the top, didn't take the mark. Follows up, ball bobbles in front of him. Kennedy taken down, Hewitt taken high.
Let him up. Let him up. Thank you.
Well, there are just contests everywhere at the moment. Good strong hands by Josh Kennedy, but clear free kick there against Drew Petrie, too high on Hewitt.
Push out, Drew.
It is certainly a contested game, this one, Duck, as we thought it was going to be.
Yep. Geez, Buddy did all the hard work early on. Tarrant just couldn't hold the mark. It was a great kick to his advantage.
George Hewitt directly in front then. Kicked a few goals this season, almost in double figures. And that's straight enough. Nicely done.
Well, two of their goals now from free kicks. One to Kennedy for holding the ball, and then that one for too high. So, as you said, Lee, it is. It's a contested game. Both sides hard at it.
Averaging a goal a match, Hewitt. He's been impressive.
Oh, can't argue with that one.
Good honesty.
Jamie Miller wired up and agreeing with the decision, so fair enough. Hewitt again doesn't quite take the mark. Mackenzie gets him down. Jones trying to get it to Parker. Waite getting involved. Tippett. North got to be careful here because Swans a couple in front. Both teams have been fast starting teams this year. Waite back to Zeeble. Zeeble always narrow that kick. Wells clever. Swallow getting it forward, but the gang tackle comes on. Jamon.
Neither side really controlling the footy. The Kangaroos have only taken one mark so far in the quarter. Sydney only the 6. So neither side controlling the footy.
Jones comes away, high ball down towards the 50. Tarrant over the top, got a fist on it, thumps it back to midfield. Moving in the race, the speedster Cunningham. Coming at him right, forced the error. Ackley in trouble, dragged down. Zeeble had to wait, cost him dearly. Taken down, flattened his back, he tried to kick it. Cunningham had it, bounced back. Inconveniently for Zeeble. It was in the grasp, just lying there with Jack, and suddenly the football was back with them. Now the umpire will toss it up inside the centre square.
Gee, I love that run and chase down by Buddy Franklin. Great to see him doing that. We love all the goals he kicks, but that is a great part of his game.
Gibson quick to half forward. Mills on the end of it.
Hasn't missed a match, Mills. He's the only first-year player that drafted last year that's played every game. He's the one man standing. So goes down the line. Sinclair for Rito. Sinclair, well done. Had the height advantage. Gets to a lot of marking contests, doesn't he? He's a work in progress, but he's been a good pickup.
He's agile.
Mitchell. One of a group of deep midfielders and gives it all he's got to Heaney. Had a big fly. Franklin lurking and going. Kicked a goal in every game. In fact, only he and Tom Lynch have kicked a goal, 2 goals in every game at least. But Duck, it must be a bit of a relief when you get the first one.
Oh, absolutely. You always want to get an early touch, and he did that. But that first one on the board, you know, it just makes your defender a little bit more nervous, Bruce. And that's why you should never come off after kicking one, because you can get on a bit of a run, especially this bloke.
Yeah.
This is Lance Franklin at his absolute best here. The chase and tackle on the wing to cause the turnover, and then straight down the other end of the ground, doing what he does best. Beautiful goal. Great play by the big fella.
And the Swans 3 goals from their last 3 inside 50s. Knocked down by Sinclair. Brown goes after it, lifted behind, quick hands by Kennedy. Parker goes wide, anticipating that. Lloyd was on the move. He's taken the mark on centre wing. Just lobs it inside the forward 50. Got to feed the man. Up comes Franklin, takes the mark. Terrific signs from Buddy Franklin. Wonderful chase moments ago, and then fittingly, he got the goal. And now, this will take pretty much his best kick. Started the night with 46 goals. Goes on that arc, bending it. He's bent it like, dare we say, Buddy. He's got his second. So a nightmare evolving on that forward line for Sydney in terms of the North Melbourne defence. They really are fully stretched just for the moment. And they're down by 25 points.
That's that roll that you can get on that I spoke about, Bruce, especially Buddy. You kick one and all of a sudden you can go bang, bang. Well, you can see here, this is what he does. He just runs out a little bit on that left foot just to get that extra distance. He's done that his whole career. And he's in just goal-kicking form from outside 50.
So multiple goals in every match this year. He's already got that one done and dusted for tonight to keep that going. Brown, biggest score against North in the opening term by fair way.
Bruce, we spoke about this being a contested possession game and who's going to dominate that contest. At the moment, Sydney are up by 13 in contested possession, so they're getting their hands on the footy, using it better, and that's giving blokes like Buddy first look at the footy.
Cunnington to Wells. Wells started well. Brown, quick release. Dumont, that's a fantastic tackle by Sinclair, the ruckman. Back to Laidler. McVeigh. You might have been right about that handball, Lingy. He doesn't miss too many. Cunningham. To Hanbury. Gang crash. Hanbury in a bit of trouble here. Harvey going back to McMillan. Hanbury still not really up, by the way. And then McMillan with a little pokey one, not particularly effective. Hanbury trying to get his win back, I think, in the centre of the ground. And a boundary throw. And is he in a bit of strife or not?
He's just got to his feet now, boys. He's in the hands of the trainers, but he's just holding his left quad at the moment.
Ooh, a bit of a corky, I reckon, from Lindsay Thomas.
He's a tough ball.
Came through, yeah.
Doesn't he take some punishment? Fearless to a fault. Behind the pack, there he is. The action, brilliantly done. Cool, out the back to Jack. McGlynn back to Jack. Goes down towards half forward. This is Hewitt outside the 50. Just waiting for it. 5 metres out is Heaney. And from what we've seen of this young man, he'll go back and have no trouble slotting it. Brilliant build-up. Instigated by the man who was down on his haunches just moments ago.
He is so tough, we said, and he got up. And just the skill as well. That is brilliant. You can't underestimate that. That is brilliant footy.
Heaney then, to cap it off, puts it through, and they are rolling. This is most impressive from the Sydney Swans. They've got some exciting players, and when they're exciting together, it's exciting.
I don't know whether it's just Rowan Dennis back in this side, but right now they look a lot quicker than North Melbourne. They are covering the ground way better. That was slick.
When you said Rowan Dennis, I was thinking of the time trials who might win a gold medal for us at the Olympics.
Just have a look at Isaac Heaney down the bottom of your screen there. Scotty Thompson just forced to leave, but
shouldn't have left.
Made that wrong decision there. If he was going to go, he had to go 3 or 4 seconds earlier. As soon as he hadn't made that decision, had to stay with Isaac Heaney. Got caught in no man's land.
Sensational start by the Swans. Jones released it. Lloyd turning. Hanbury, Kennedy to full forward. Franklin in the mix there with Sinclair. And then Farito has to bang it away. Petrie, Grundy, a couple of the veterans together. and a boundary throw-in. Highest score against North Melbourne in the last 4 matches at half-time, 25 points.
Interestingly, boys, Tom Mitchell, who went to Sam Mitchell last week, has just been allowed to crack in this first quarter. He's up to 7 disposals in this first term.
Tippett goes up uncontested. Hanbury again, mastering that pass. The hand one, just giving it away when he's in the tackle. Now Marsh kicks it down towards half forward. Ferrito in front. From behind, Sinclair almost took it. McDonald, Tarrant was standing still. Back to Attlee. Now Mackenzie. Nice mover, generally a very good kick, and that's no exception. Right onto the chest of Goldstein on the other side. All Australian ruckman. In front of a scoreboard that is bad news for North Melbourne. They trail by 31 points. Kick up towards the wing. Dropped out there by Marsh. Fell in front. Still plenty of Sydney players around the ball. One of whom, Marsh, comes away with it. Kicks back towards the 50. Knocked down by Heaney. Taken by Lloyd. Slapped away by Attlee. Back comes Heaney. Slips a hand pass away to Parker. Look at him. Just looking inside the forward 50 for Buddy. Up he goes. Couldn't take the mark. Parker had plenty of time. And now it's with Mackenzie.
Mackenzie on the back foot, but a good kick coming out.
And amazingly, that's only mark number 3 for North Melbourne. They average 22 a quarter. Bit of a build-up now, though. They can control the ball.
Swallow looking for the Wells run, but did a good job there, Jones, to sort of corral him and stop him from doing that. Later will want the boundary line. He doesn't get it. Nahas, McMillan gets inside. 50, tight angle. And just always a little to the skinny side. And North, first time they've really had a shot for such a long time. What a great test now. They're 9-0 and they're 5 goals behind.
And I don't mind that. Lindsay Thomas complaining that he wanted the ball at the top. He had plenty of time. And he
had every right to have a shot then.
Yep.
Jones to Lloyd. Lloyd kicks into the man on the mark. Thompson, who paddles it towards the 50. Picked up by Thomas. Thomas with the left peg pulls it back. And he's got his second. What a wonderful kick. He's suddenly just a little too cool for school coming up the middle there. So McMillan misses. Thomas admonished him, but immediately things fell into place for him, and that was a good snap.
Sure was. Yeah, Lloyd was, he'll be disappointed. So the Indigenous boys have hit the board in this opening term.
Just the turnover here. Costley could have given the handball to Mitchell, chose to kick then Lloyd and got the smother in. It was a nice finish by Lindsay Thomas. Only a few steps. That's a sign of a very clever footballer, which he is, Thomas. Nearly up to 300 AFL goals now.
So Zeeble out of the centre. So North back to 4 goals. Marsh against Dumont. So a couple of blokes that have played very little football. McMillan having a good patch, kicks to the pocket. Rampy first to get there, close to the line. Back to Mills. Nahas harasses him in a boundary throw-in. So North can undo a bit of damage here, can't they? They've got one back. It looks a lot better on the board now. Another one before quarter time. They've kicked at least 4 first-quarter goals, North, in their last 7 matches. They've been prolific early, but not so far tonight. Swallow, so close to the line, in fact, over, and a boundary throw-in. Talked about his tackling earlier. He had a massive Achilles problem a couple of years back. And a fine play. His brother, of course, struck down with injury at the Gold Coast. Goldstein front spot. Tippett sort of leans over the top. Jack rides that tackle cleverly enough. Kennedy whips it out, and now Tippett gets on the end and hooks the ball back.
Coming up to meet it, Thompson. He's forward of the wing, getting down to quarter time. 24 points the difference. Sydney have been better than that. Kick to the pocket. Brown. Need a goal from him. Slips it away to Harvey. He might do it. Touched off the boot. Good result for North. They've been swamped so far. I think fair to say the scoreboard does flatter them. Backhanded down by Tippett. Enjoying things in close. Kennedy. Lloyd got it out. Mitchell gave it to Mills. High one, virtually on the 50. They battle, body on body. No one touched the footy in flight. working behind right. Swallow's kick was smothered. Well done, Jones. Sinclair's hand pass missed the target. Then Hewitt hung on. Grabbed hold of Gibson and pays the price.
And Sinclair missing the target was the big problem, wasn't it? McMillan, so Siebel. I like what North have done in the last couple of minutes. So Siebel spreading it. Oh, brilliant! So in this Indigenous round, we saw Daniel Wells and Lindsay Thomas lead the team out tonight. And Thomas with a chance to kick a third goal in the opening term.
It was a clever mark, wasn't it? Because he had McVeigh, so just good use of the body in the side, but most importantly, watched the flight of the footy, kept his eyes on it, and in the end judged it better than McVeigh.
It's been a dead-eye Dick so far tonight. 7-11 prior to tonight from set shots. Kicked one earlier and then one on the run that was exceptional. And this to bring it back for North.
Mosley McEnbrough.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's been an issue. It's been a talking point with him his whole career, hasn't it? Good and bad. That's a massive lot of miss, isn't it? In the context of the match.
McVeigh to himself then. Plays on, runs to the pocket, kicks outside the 50. Sinclair reaches for it. Off his fingertips, it runs out of bounds. Clock stops at 1:03.
21-36, Dennis. 5 years ago, he kicked from set shots.
Yeah.
That was just a really poor ball drop. Dropped it across his body.
He really did have the yips, didn't he? Transformed himself. Came back to be a reasonably reliable goal kicker. Swallow to Gibson. It was a bad miss, though, that one, as Bruce said. Missed by Mills.
50.
And that's going to be 50 metres against Thomas, is it? Didn't see what he did. Did he knock the ball away after Mills had taken the mark?
I think that's pretty unlucky against Lindsay Thomas because most of the players out there, including, I would say, Callum Mills, didn't think that was a mark. And the umpire had blown the whistle a little bit prematurely. So, unlucky 50.
So, Buddy up ahead. He's not in the contest, though. Clears the pack, runs free. Hewitt just inside the boundary. That was clever. Gives it to Kennedy. Keeps it low. It skids across the front of goal and goes out of bounds in the opposite pocket.
Let's play on every day of the week there, so that's why Lindsay Thomas got penalised there.
Absolutely unlucky, wasn't he? Swans with one last chance here. Goldstein tries to get over Tippett. Tippett doing a good job to get it back to Parker. Gibson supplying the tackle. Hanbury to Mills. Saw the smother. Gibson, right. And then Tarrant getting it away. Probably safe now. Well, we'll see. McVeigh kicked the opening goal. Swans would have to be quick and clean. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. No, and that's going to be it. So Franklin with a couple of goals in the opening term. He started well, and so had the Swans. But North did get it back a bit towards the end. Lindsay Thomas's miss hurt them a little, but he's kicked a couple. So quarter time here at the SCG, and Sydney lead it 37-14. It's 6-1 to 2-2. Start for the Swans. One stage they led by 5. They need 37-14. Look at Kennedy's numbers. Franklin with a couple. Thomas has got 2. Could have had 3. So North getting back into the game late in that opening term. Jamie McMillan, the running halfback winger, is wide up for the Kangaroos tonight. Let's have a listen to the sounds of the game.
Didn't you run into my legs? But he ran into my legs. In and out, in and out! Joyce, follow, mate! Buffet! Hey, boy. How's that not holding the ball? Yeah. He ran 5 metres with it. I'll give you 3.
We've got to remind everybody these players aren't under oath.
That is fantastic access. Just great to hear the interaction there too with the other. Just a bit of a negotiation.
Very measured. Shavey should be wired up every week. He's a natural, isn't he? He's the best we've ever had.
I think he's responding to being wind up, don't you?
I think so. That's what we like. 23 points the margin then. North with a bit to do. They finished strongly though. They came back in those last 5 minutes of the first term. Need more of the same. Bounce favours Tippett on his way down. Back to Jack. Coming off the line was Mills. In trouble. Stolen by Nahas. Scoots away. Kicks it down towards half forward. Working in front Rampy to his own advantage. And then I think knew exactly what he was doing as he steps across the line.
Oh, they're getting better at it.
Doesn't take them long to adapt to the next players.
Goldstein trying to get over the top. Jack, Parker, Lloyd and Nahas. Nahas just harassing. Loose ball, then he gets his hands on it. Parker over the top. Ball still not quite out. And again, a stoppage. Forward 50 for the Kangaroos.
What do you reckon would happen if the umpire said, "You're getting better at it, but so am I," and picked him?
Cunnington. Gibson. And then Smith. And then Cunningham. Well cut off by Gibson. Kennedy, strong body though. Lloyd to Jack. Cute kick.
Very nice. McGlynn goes out wide. Hanbury in space. Dangerous here. Sends a searching ball inside the forward 50. Rowan, well, he misjudged it. Off the fingertips towards the boundary line. Rowan comes back though. Heaney. Good shepherd by Rowan. Still Heaney with nowhere to go. And eventually Petrie pushes the ball across the boundary line.
Hasn't touched it yet, Drew, so he's gone down back to just try and get his hands on the footy.
North need to hold here. Goldstein outmanoeuvred. Cunnington though, sharking that one from Tippett. Gives it across to Wells. Wells, nice kick. Wait on the lead.
Laidler started on weight, but it looks like Rampy's got the job now. But none of those big forwards for North have done anything really. It's been Thomas getting the goals. Harvey and Dal Santo combined. The two veterans, Cunnington, beautiful hands to Harvey, to Nahas. That's a brilliant kick to Gibson. First goal here if North can get it, and I feel like they're right back in. There's such a long way to go in this game, but Sydney doing all the front running early. Thomas was doing the sharking and a boundary throw-in.
It was a good sign back in that congestion just before when North Melbourne won the footy. Just threw it around with a few good sharp handballs. Brought a few people into the game. Just that's how you gain some confidence. Get the footy in your hands. Just flick it round. Find a teammate with some effective possessions. Well played by North.
Goldstein got in front, knocked it down, but it doesn't clear.
Well done, lads. Well battled.
Ball up right on the 50 then.
1 metre. 1 metre.
Ryan. Goldstein at his feet. Cunnington left the ball behind. Jack tries to hammer it out of there. Cunnington taken high, surely.
Kangaroos. Cunnington.
They won't die wondering. Former best and fairest winner. Really gets in under those packs, but not a good kick. Going back, the mark is taken by Kennedy. We learnt last week how important he is to this team.
20 contested disposals last week. He's having some sort of a night. It's Kennedy and Cunnington building the ball out.
Cunnington again there getting the fist on the footy. He's lifted his work rate in this second quarter. Only the 3 possessions in the first quarter. He's up to 8, so he's had 5 already early on and doing what he does best, getting hard in and under, driving at the footy, trying to read it off Goldstein's hand.
There is again Lingy trying to get it out to Gibson. Right. Wells, geez, a beautiful mover, isn't he? He just turned on a dime there and accelerated. Kicks to full forward, Brown. Thomas trying to get back and a behind.
A lot of talk about that ruck duel, Tippett and Goldstein. Goldstein only had the 1 possession. Tippett's had the 5.
Well, North responding like a good team here.
Play on.
Working hard, Laidler to himself, but they need to be rewarded. This ball's gone out of bounds on the full, so Ferrito will send it back in. 6-1 plays 2-3. Lightning start, if you missed it, by Sydney. Led by Buddy Franklin. Ferrito, high one, close to the boundary. Mills launches in front. Spills, taken there by Smith, went down. Mills follows up though, got a loose ball. To no one in particular, Hanbury. It became McVeigh's problem. Kennedy to the wing. Under it, Sinclair, lurking, surrounded by North players. Franklin, still a play on the football, and that's a very good result. He ties it up for them. Well done by Buddy.
So North of the last 4 scoring shots here since that Heaney goal in the opening term. Kennedy and Parker. Important one here now. McVeigh, Petrie doing well, winning the battle there, and now looking up and deciding to go long for a one-on-one. Wait, will be dangerous. Laidler did really well in the front spot. Free kick, no, not to Thomas. And then the handball missing Laidler, absolutely missing targets, and Thomas gets a high one.
Sydney, North Melbourne. Righty, let it up. No, up your hop. Let it out. Right in here. Brett, you got the free kick. Let it out. There we go. Time back on.
Once again, just it's just sloppy, wasn't it? But great chase by Petrie, wasn't it? Yeah. In the middle of the ground. That's why they have this opportunity.
Duck, what a big kick this is. I mean, he missed the soda, didn't he, at the other end? He's had a really big influence on this game, obviously, but this determines, you reckon, his confidence for the rest of the night, doesn't it?
Yep.
So this is a must goal. Absolutely critical to the scoreboard and for him. He's got it. He's kicked 3 goals early in the second term. North coming back.
This is impressive, isn't it? North doing what they have to do, led by that man.
Back out the sidelines.
Just another look at the free kick. That's not what the free kick was for there to Lindsay Thomas. It was for this one here, just again looking for that high contact just by going low at the knees. Like we talk about, it's not the one where they duck and drive the head and the umpires will call play on in that situation. It's just lowering the centre of gravity enough that hopes that the tackle slips high, and the tackler needs to adjust to that. Simply needs to get lower.
Zeeble taken high. 16 points the difference. Zeeble drives inside the forward 50. Wait in that pack. In front, Laidler. Nahas. Del Santo, who's been quiet, feeds White, snaps across the body, and drifting back. It's taken by Rampy on the kickoff line. Rampy, a real developing player. Dasher. That's not a bad kick either. Gets it over distance and right onto the chest of Tippett. Lloyd follows up, comes towards half forward. Franklin. That was a perfect kick. Just cleared Zeeble. Franklin goes back, finds Mitchell, who was crusted onto Sam Mitchell last week. Little kick to Hanbury. He was one of 2 players running. The other was Mitchell, and he kept running, did Hanbury, and got it from Mitchell.
He's just sucking in the big breaths now, Doug. He runs so hard to get on the end of the footy. There he is right there as Tom Mitchell takes that mark. He'd worked down from the defence. He kept on running to get on the end of that. That is brilliant work rate. Any young player wanting to learn the game should just watch Dan Hanbury's work rate, how to make it as an elite midfielder.
Just watch him anyway. Outstanding player in this competition. And what a wonderful finish. I think last week we may have praised him and he kicked it to the opposition once, but that doesn't happen very often at all. He just typifies the Swans' attitude, but more importantly, exemplifies hard work.
Yeah, what it is it's trusting your teammates to hit the targets. So he has full trust that with time they will pinpoint, hit a target, and he's comfortable with then running to space to get onto the end of it.
It's a good finish. Probably right now, Dangerfield and Hanbury are the best inside-outside combo players. I mean, he does both, doesn't he?
Yep. It's hard to think of anyone else.
They're the 2 that jump, aren't they? They can do the both of them. That's a terrific finish. And we talked about how hard he'd worked to get there. Swallowed to Zeeble. So North All that hard work to reduce the margin, Sydney back to about 4 goals. Laidler going long. Heaney a target. Didn't really get a fly at it. Thompson able to keep him down. Ferrito close to the line. Hard to keep it in. He does. Mitchell had a big opening term. Zeeble with him. Gets it back to Laidler and a boundary throw in. You must have been with him, Lingy.
Let it up!
That's all. Yes.
We're right in. Let it up. We're right in. Thanks, boys.
3 different seasons over the stretch. He's only played 1 game. Pretty remarkable that he's kept going. He could have been disillusioned so many times.
Yeah, no, stuck at it. Always had that belief too that he belonged at AFL level, which you need to have, and worked hard, and he's doing a terrific job for the Swans.
Well, he was right. Tippett did well. You where the help was. Mitchell, Hanbury again. An exploratory hand pass and a beauty. McVeigh runs onto it from long range, and Hanbury has turned this game again. It was the vision of an artist. He's done it several times tonight with that deft hand pass over the shoulder. That time, more time, but a man at full tilt out in front of him. Man didn't break stride, put it through for a goal. And these moments are defining in this match. And Hanbury, it seems, coincidentally or not, is right amongst it.
Oh, that is just absolutely brilliant from Hanbury. This handball here, it's a 30-metre handball. McVeigh doesn't have to break stride. If that handball's slightly off, he gets put under pressure. He doesn't kick that goal. Absolutely perfect.
So multiple goals for McVeigh. He did that against West Coast this season. They're the only matches he's scored in, but he has always been a good finisher. Hanbury, as Dennis said a moment ago, he's defining what's happening at the moment. Getting the ball forward. Cunningham has a little fumble and a boundary throw in.
Hanbury has been great, but his old mate in the middle, Josh Kennedy, playing a monster of a game at the moment. He's had 16 touches, 9 of those contested and 5 clearances. I'd be half happy with those numbers if that was a full game stat, but it's not even half-time, not even close to half-time.
Here he is doing the tackling on Goldstein. McMillan gets it from Swallow. Jamont, good mark, front spot on McVeigh. So the Swans re-establish that 5-goal margin here. McMillan.
George, right there.
Got the short one if he wants it, decides to hug the boundary line. Grundy well positioned, works Petrie over a little too easily. And Grundy, who did respond so well against the Hawks last week, after being not so good against the Tigers the week before.
Only the 1 touch, Petrie.
It was a good one. He turned the ball, got the ball back and going in the centre, but not enough. That's a strong mark by an emerging defender in Tarrant.
That's brave by Tarrant too, because he had to come off Lance Franklin to take that mark. That's what he needs to do. If he sees the ball and reads the ball in the air, he needs to continue to back himself. He can't become too buddy conscious. Otherwise, he just ends up being a liability for his team.
The Swans have blocked the corridor very well the last couple of times, just forcing that kick from North Melbourne down the line to set up themselves defensively.
Boundary throw in. Brown, the target of that last kick, is going to get a kick now. He's pushed as the umpire. Kurt Tippett looking on. He's battled manfully against Goldstein. McMillan mic'd up and firing with the interchange gates. Looking down towards half forward, takes something off the kick. Oh, that's another good mark by Grundy.
That's 2 in a row now. 1-on-1 contested mark.
McVeigh along the boundary line, coming up McDonald. Bounced obligingly for Brown. Cunnington gets a hand pass away. Now Petrie, 60 metres out from goal. Kicks it down towards the pocket. It'll run on. Favours the defender, Laidler. They're getting better at it. We'll have a boundary throw in. But if we know that...
It's the next step, isn't it?
They know we know.
Brown and Sinclair. Sinclair just reached over the top. Jack released it well to Jones. Now, no, he got away from Wells and then got away from Brown. Well played by Jones. Heaney and Thompson. Heaney's a hard man to beat 1-on-1. We've seen that in his short career. Thompson's done it a couple of times tonight. Beautiful kick to Brown.
Well played, Scott Thompson. Read the ball in the air. backed himself against Heaney, not just to spoil, but to mark the footy, and then didn't hesitate. Straight out in front of Ben Brown. That's a perfect kick. Just drew Brown onto the footy. Well played.
He's kicked 80% of his goals in the first half this year, Brown. In fact, half of his 18 goals have been kicked in the opening quarter. Not tonight, so generally a fast starter when he gets on the scoreboard. Decent kick. And just the thin side all the way. Held the line.
Short into Parker. Brent Harvey's an interesting one against Sydney. He's really struggled. This ground doesn't suit him. Not a lot of space. Goes out wide to Jack. There's Parker. Jack drives it down towards half forward. Petrie coming back on Hanbury. Hanbury got it into his terrain on the ground, but Rowan beat him to the punch. Sends it down towards full forward. Well, Franklin could have almost got a free kick there. Applies a strong tackle. Got right down. Thompson comes in over the top, and they don't like each other. There's bad blood going back a ways. And Thompson is going to get a free kick. But he might think it's worthwhile.
Not sure how the umpires pull a free kick out of that. Both players wrestling on the ground. Just let it go.
Thompson close to the boundary. White flies high, but off his hands, out of bounds.
Well, he went down again. There's a bit of history there, isn't there?
Yeah.
So Sydney have wrested the initiative well and truly back for the moment. Ball squirts out, Hanbury. Brown just couldn't quite get down low enough. Gee, Hanbury again. McVeigh twisting, turning. Brown just did enough, and then D'Alessandro to Swallow. And Swallow with a bit of time now. He's going to hook it wide. That's a very dangerous kick. Hewitt and also Rampy. So Thomas did a good job. Ferrito just missed the target. Thomas bounced the ball back. Gets it back to McKenzie. McKenzie goes back to Atley. Atley not great on the left side. Poor kick. Smith on the up. Jones misses the target. Some sloppy footy. Zeeble bends the back, goes forward, neat looking kick, doesn't quite get the target, and then overrunning a deep weight, hasn't done a lot so far. Laidler, well done.
Here's Marsh out of the back pocket then. High one up towards the wing, launching himself Heaney. Falls to Ferrito. Well done, McLean affected the kick. Rampy. And again peeling off, getting his man to the ball. This time Franklin is Tarrant. Good to see, a lot of confidence. And a good kick too. Favours Brown. Brown up, couldn't hang on. Got both hands to it. Slapped away there close to the boundary line by Waite. And we'll have a boundary throw in.
He's looking dangerous, Brown, isn't he, when he goes forward, as we have a look at the free kick at the other end of the ground a minute ago. Let it go.
Brown. Sinclair, ball, holding the ball.
Sydney, you dragged it in. Come through.
Sinclair's free kick. I think Buddy had been pretty upset that he didn't get the free kick because Thompson wasn't looking at the ball when the ball was coming in. Now the Swans are out in a big, big way, and Franklin's on the burst here with Tarrant. Does the ball get as far as them? It does. Tarrant takes off again. And a bit in between, not quite Rowan and not quite Franklin. And Rowan's speed on that forward line, we've seen it a few times again tonight, is a real X factor for the Swans. Such an important inclusion. Third of the way through the season. Parker took it out of the air. Swallow tackled by Mitchell, ball up.
Thank you.
Dangerous spot for North. They're down by 27. Tippett does well. Atley under pressure. Gets it out of there. Awkward bouncing footy for Petrie. Jones, strong tackle by Nahas. The umpire shows some compassion on the player with the footy. It was a great tackle.
Robbie, just hold fire, mate. Turn round.
Spotted something.
Clear behind me.
Umpire Jeffrey. Brown mistimed his jump. Hanbury, well done by Tippett to give it to him. In the pocket, tumbling to the ground was White. Stolen away by Cunningham. Over the shoulder. Oh, Jack was nimble in that situation. Chance now for Mitchell. Jams it on the boot. Wide of the mark. Bounces out of bounds.
Got to hang on here, North, don't they? They made the running early in this term.
Boys, Todd Goldstein's been on the bench for the last 7 minutes, so we've just got a bit of a watch on him. He's been very quiet on the bench.
Bandaged up tonight, something we hadn't seen lately. Cunnington just forcing the ball out. Thomas got underneath it. Petrie had to sort of hold it, and he released it a little hurriedly. McVeigh, Petrie helps with the tackle with weight. Jamont over the top, okay. Nahas, back he goes. Cunnington having a pretty good term. Off a step. Weight the target. Hasn't really taken a hanger tonight. And a boundary throw in. Gibson. There's Goldstein. So that left knee bandaged up there. The numbers so far tonight.
Doesn't seem to be getting any treatment there, so I'm sure Bolts will be keeping a very close eye on that one, but maybe he just can't get back out there because all the play's on the far side of the ground. I don't know, but North would want him back out in a hurry.
Jamont across the body. It's going to be a free kick, I think, to Brown. Tippett played well.
He has. He's on top at the moment. He's winning that battle.
So Brown from 70 metres out sends it long down towards the pocket. Grundy at the back of that pack. Just bulk into it. Scramble. Ball up.
Just having a look there. It's a little bit of a poke in the eye from Tippett, but Brown was just starting to have the better of Sinclair, so they brought Tippett back onto the ground.
Just here, no.
And as I say
hold your ground, I understand that, but you can't push him away.
Free kick.
Clear it out, guys. Clear it out.
Well, this will be a big win if they can find one here. Against a bit of momentum, Sydney have had a bit of the play down their end of the ground. Goldstein on the bench, giving him a valuable rest. Ben Brown, if he can kick a goal against Kurt Tippett, that's what it was for, just pushing him out of the ruck contest.
So we missed the last one, Brown. This is a tougher kick. Familiar long run up, very measured. Might have got it, I think. He has. That's a terrific result. North get one back. Brown gets his first. Goldie back on.
It's interesting.
So that margin manageable again, isn't it? I mean, it's back to 21 points. Sydney doing all the front running here.
If he can pick up the ball in another free kick.
A couple of players getting frustrated about getting back on the ground. Goldstein and that time McMillan, who's mic'd up. Out of the middle, Goldstein got it down. Zeeble kicks inside the forward 50. Brown, 19 goals for the season, came up to meet it. Thomas had it smothered off the boot. McVeigh, Mills, with some time. Did it get to Parker? No. Gutsy mark by the North Melbourne captain, Swallow. 60 metres out, low trajectory kick. Wait, first attempt, second, spilt it. The ground jarred out of there. Marsh grabbed it. His hand pass was immediately smothered by Nahas, and we've got a boundary throw in.
His hands have been so good this year, Wait. Normally would grab that one. Had 2 bites at it, not quite.
Tippett and Goldstein, as they've done all night. In front of the pack, Harvey tried to keep it alive. A throw, says McVeigh. Umpire having none of it. This has been an enthralling duel. Tippett in very good form last week. He's carried that form on. Goldstein hard to manoeuvre around, stifles the ball as it bounced in front of him. Swallow wriggles free, pulls it back, high ball. They come from all directions. Wait the forward, tried to spoil it there. Loose at the back. Jones is over the football, tries to bullock his way out. Nothing doing. Ball up.
And again, a good response by North here. I mean, getting themselves back into the match. Parker, Zeeble quickly onto him.
Thanks, boys.
A lot to cheer about this year. Thomas went to ground. Jones barrels his way up and then barrels the ball to centre wing. Heaney made the first fly. Franklin roved it very well. Caught up though. That's a great tackle. McDonald and now Z-ball. Del Santo. I haven't called his name a lot. Jamont reigns onto it and kicks the goal. And North are getting back. Actually, what a great tackle in the middle of the ground because Franklin was away and it could have been anything from that point with his run and carry. And North turning it around and the 20-year-old bangs it home and suddenly the scoreboard tightens up.
Yeah, Swan's teammates were running forward. They thought Buddy's free here and they all thought it was going inside 50.
He's a hard man to stop, Buddy Franklin, when he's got momentum. It was a terrific tackle and, as you said, leading to back-to-back goals now for North Melbourne, and Dumont straight back into the middle of the ground.
Tippett has to wait. Over the top comes Goldstein. Jack's got it. Goes out wide. Lloyd was there. Dumont got him down. Goldstein look away hand pass. Del Santo goes back towards half back and right. McDonald again. Sends this ball inside the forward 50, so for the moment at least, Sydney under duress. Grundy did well, knocked it down to Hanbury, to Parker. Kennedy's hand pass not so good. Comes back to him from Lloyd, and he wins a free kick. Kennedy, so much of the football coming up to his 17th possession. But North are coming hard. Kennedy, short, dangerous. Grundy. He's in good nick, held on. Across the ground, half volleyed by Rampy. And a long kick in the Franklin direction, working off this pack, but it stayed in close. And as a result, Atley gets a hand pass and sends it to the defensive 50 in Goldstein.
Does he get to Well? That's a terrific mark by Wells. It's a dangerous kick. North playing with a bit of flair here. Wide he goes. Cunnington's had a prolific second term. Just takes his time and kicks the ball brilliantly to Harvey. Normally burst away, but quite-ish opening half for Harvey.
To 6.
Closing in, of course, on Michael Tuck's all-time record. 4-1-9 tonight.
Doesn't mind taking the man on the mark on in this situation. Boomer, done it many a time. Not this occasion.
Finds Wells in a tight pocket.
Well, he told the umpire he was taking a shot, if I'm any lip reader.
Yep. That's to get the 30 seconds, obviously,
yes.
But he was clearly beyond his range.
His eyes were still darting around, looking for that late lead.
So Brown goal from here a moment ago. It's a bit touch and go whether Wells would play tonight. He's missed the last couple. Skillful player, not beyond him. He's just pushed it across and it's a behind. So more scoring shots for North Melbourne, and they are closing here.
Been gutsy. Sydney have slowed down considerably after that great start. Here's McVeigh to himself. Ambles to the pocket. Rowan, will he fly from behind? Got hands to it, couldn't hang on. Jamont coming into this game. McMillan forward of the wing. High ball. Can North get another goal here? Heaney to space. Goldstein runs onto it. He's been kicking goals lately, and he's kicked this one. Now that was a clever kick for a big man on the lope. He was headed towards the pocket. Cool as you like. And he put it through the middle.
Did him good sitting on the pine. He's come back a different player, hasn't he? Tonight, at least.
He's got a lot of his goals like that. Only taken 5 marks inside 50, so gets a lot of ground balls and from stoppages. Well, he's kicked a lot of his goals like this, only taken the 5 marks inside 50, so he gets a lot of ground balls, and that's just a really clever finish from a big guy.
When you look at those inside 50 numbers, it's been a big quarter from North Melbourne. They're plus 10 in contested possession as well. Great response.
Goldstein getting over the top, suddenly becoming a massive factor here.
Both dragged it in. You had hands on it too. Good, thank you.
So what a terrific burst here by the Kangaroos.
Play on.
Del Santo taken down by Mitchell. Gibson, too slow.
That's holding the ball, illegal disposal.
So McGlynn.
Right
So it looks like the Swans might get the opportunity for the last goal of the first half. Lloyd quickly on, and he gets Franklin, who hasn't had many opportunities in this quarter. So right on half-time here by the time he takes the kick. A big moment in the match. Barry Hall currently 14th on the all-time list with 746 goals. Franklin with a chance to join him.
Has the shot clock been given the boot, has it?
At the end of quarters, yeah.
So can Franklin kick a third opening half goal? Don't think it's coming back, or is it? No, he's missed, so that's a pretty big miss.
You're watching Friday Night Footy Half-Time, brought to you by Jim Beam.
So there we go. What a game of football we've got. Looked like the Swans are going to take it apart there at after quarter time, but the Kangaroos have fought back beautifully to get right back in this game. Buddy misses one on the bell there, boys, but I think we'll have to give that second quarter, certainly the last 15 minutes of the Kangaroos, what a great fight back there.
Fought back pretty hard, didn't they?
Yeah.
I just thought for the majority of that first half, obviously the scores indicate that Sydney were just a bit cleaner with the ball when they had it in hand and put it to better advantage. A little bit harder early on too as well, and ran a little bit harder as well.
Well, I thought that the first half, the first quarter, Sydney's pressure and intensity around the ball in their clean hands was outstanding. But the second quarter, it dropped off a little bit. North came back and started to win some clearances, moved the ball a bit quicker. The pressure was less, and they're back in the game.
You're right there, because Sydney were miles in front on clearances at a quarter time, more possessions, all those things. And then all of a sudden they fought back in, with Swallow and Cunnington and those sort of guys. Zeeble in the middle of the ground, they started to win the ball again, and their forwards got some feed.
First thoughts from the Ultra Tune Lab. Let's go to David King. Quiet there for a while, Kingy, but you've come to life, mate.
Very quiet, Ed, and still probably a little bit concerned. They were out toughed early. They were just simply put to the sword by a brutal midfield that come to play. They gave no space, Jared, and it showed.
Well, the Swans, if they could reproduce that pressure for 4 quarters in a grand final, they'd win it in the first quarter. Looked like the Kangaroos had done their warm-up at King's Cross, and that certainly doesn't work for them. But without question, the move of taking Goldstein off, giving him a rest, giving him a little touch-up, certainly got them back in the game.
Certainly did, no doubt about that. Let's have a look as we recap thanks to Jim Beam. McVeigh goal on the run was the first goal of the quarter, and after Buddy Franklin had missed a shot, would have been magnificent for Bud to kick the first goal in Indigenous round. But at the other end, Lindsay Thomas did it, the Indigenous player for the Kangaroos, a controversial head-high tackle, and Lindsay goes back and kicks the goal. First for the Kangaroos. Then it looked like the Swans were going to take them apart. Hewitt got a head-high free kick and kicked the goal. We'll have a good look at these head-high tackles in the lab shortly. Buddy Franklin just went mad for about 10 minutes here. Magnificent stuff. Nice little balk on the left foot, slams it through. That's what the crowd wanted, out to 19 points. And then the long bomb. Have a look at this. Buddy leads up. Strong mark in front of Tarrant, who did everything he could. And from 55, bang, goes Buddy, and it makes a distance, and they're 25 points up.
We see Georgie Hewitt in game number 9 find Isaac Heaney over the top. Only 4 disposals for Isaac Heaney. He's been clamped by the North Melbourne backline, but he kicks truly and gets the Swannies out to 31 points. Then Jakey Lloyd gets smothered at centre half back. Lindsay forces the turnover. Lindsay turns onto the left boot and goals. His second goal of the night. The Swannies are still ahead by 24, and then an awful kick to Lindsay. He turns it into a great kick. And then he repeats the dose with a terrible kick, and it's 23 points at quarter time.
Well, it carries on again here with Lindsay. He gets a free kick, and you're not very happy about that one, Dermot. Goes back and kicks the first goal of the second quarter. And then Sydney, Hannabury, just a nice easy markers, went back and just kicked a really nice goal. And Gaines probably got a lift in the second half, but a very important goal there. And Hannabury again, receiving a handball, or giving a handball to McVeigh. McVeigh had a very important patch in that little second quarter there. Just carries through for a nice goal. Just dribbled it through. Fantastic.
And the Swans looked in control. Free kick there to Brown. All of a sudden, what a dead-eye he is. A great kick from the big man in the forward line. That gets them to 21 points. Then we hear Dumont. Trent Dumont, hardly heard of him, so not many people. Gets another goal there, takes it back to 15, and then Goldstein, 3 in a row for the Kangas, and Goldstein, the big man, takes it to 8. Buddy kicks a point at the end. It's a 9-point game at half-time.
Yeah, it is. 8-2, 50, 6-5, 41 North Melbourne. 11 scoring shots to the Swans. Accurate kicking. 8-2, just that last one from Buddy missing on the siren. And we're in for a beauty. 9 points of difference at half-time. So, boys, let's have a look at some of the action so far. Josh Kennedy, well, he's come to play, as they say in the classics. He dominated early in this game.
Fantastic. He had 18 possessions already, lots of them with handball, 12 handballs. So he's clearing that area, he kicks a goal as well. He's a good player.
His first quarter was better than his second quarter, though, wasn't it? He had 13 possessions in the first quarter of the 18.
Yeah, well, all of Sydney were better in the first quarter than they were in the second, and that's the difference in the games. Not much in it, it's good.
They're very clean around the packs, weren't they? And it starts with Kennedy on the inside, who's able to feed it to somebody who then can go to the outside, or maybe even Kennedy go right to the outside with a handball as well. But once again, see, gets it underneath the ruckman, feeds it backwards to the outside, and they've got a clean kick away from the
methodical,
stoppage.
aren't they?
Yeah.
Been a bit windy. It's been wet conditions up in Sydney. We'll take a break. We'll go to the lab after this for their interpretation. But have a look at this on this Indigenous round. The famous Sydney Opera House, just looking absolutely magnificent with all those images of Indigenous culture. Well done to everybody in Sydney. They lead by 9 points.
You're watching the Swans and the Roos. This is Friday Night Footy on Fox.
Beautiful scenes at the SCG in the eastern suburbs of Sydney tonight. We're seeing a pretty good game. It's a doer affair, but it's close, and we're going to be in for a belter in the second half. So let's have a look back and forward in this game as we go to the Ultra Tune Lab with David King and Gerard Healy. Boys?
Thanks, Ed. Well, at the start of the night, we talked about North Melbourne's ability to defend lost stoppages, Gerard, and had to look at the numbers over the last 9 rounds, and you could see they had a really poor performance against Melbourne in round 3, conceding 71, 45 to Fremantle the week after. Tonight, it's already up to 32, but over the last 5 weeks, they've had an average of conceding only 17 points for the full game. It's out of control at the moment. They need to clamp it.
Well, it's very much to do with the fact that Tippett was a fantastic player for the Sydney Swans, and they just waltzed out of some stoppages, in particular in the first quarter. They weren't winning contested ball, the Kangaroos. Their pressure was pathetic, and the Swans was absolutely extreme. It's been an amazing turnaround.
It has been an amazing turnaround. In that first quarter, they really dominated. Let's have a look at what that looks like. You know, when we talk about walking out of stoppages, their ability to clamp the Kangaroos, to not give them any space, to force them into an errant handball or a smothered kick and then go and explode. They put it to Del Sano, they put it to Zeeble to defend, and let's be frank, they failed in the first 15 to 20 minutes. Defensively, they failed.
I mean, Buddy Franklin could have kicked half a dozen. The supply to the Kangaroos forward line wasn't great. They got it in there a couple of times, but there's no pressure. Del Sano just strolling along, no genuine chasing, half a genuine chase there, no 2-on-1s, all 1 against 2. The Sydney Swans, that's as good a football as they've played this season for that quarter. It was quite superb, aided and abetted by a really ordinary effort.
Have a look where McVeigh's there, all alone in the corridor at the SCG. He would have felt like he kicked that goal the moment he received that handball. And that's just shelling peas for a player of his class. That was a defensive breakdown there for sure. No half forward rolling up to cover. The game swung. It was amazing how it swung, Jerry, when Brown went into the ruck and Dumont went into the midfield. And I thought that was a credit to Brad Scott's coaching at that stage. And they tightened up the contested game. It was at quarter time was plus 13 to the Swans and plus 11 in the second quarter to the Kangaroos. So it is a game based on territory for the Kangaroos. If they don't win clearances, they can't win this game.
Well, you can see there the Sydney Swans we showed dominated clearances early in the piece, and the Kangaroos are now slightly in front. But the scores from clearances are what's really hurting the Kangaroos at the moment.
I want to have a look at this next bit of vision and open up to the boys next door. There's a couple of things to look for in this bit. We've got the work rate, the absolute gut running of some of these midfielders at Sydney. You've got McGlynn here who just puts a body on, takes Gibson out of the way, and he just goes, he charges forward.
No pressure from Kangas.
No pressure at all, and they're able to, just with sheer grit and work rate, get themselves into a space where they're able to be used again. Tarrant versus Franklin. Franklin's pushed right up the ground. You can see Tarrant there, just goal side, trying to watch him, trying to cover. This is not where he's at his best. And I want to talk to Derm and Sellers and Bomber about it in a moment. McGlynn's pushing forward, but you've got Franklin charging back into space. If we allow that to roll, just get your thoughts, lads, next door on Tarrant in this role. He was better coming at the ball rather than running back with the flight.
There's no doubt about that. Tarrant needs... Well, he's on railway tracks. He's a backman for a reason. He needs to come straight at the footy. Having said that, Franklin's the most dangerous big forward in the caper, so he's probably getting dragged up there and caught between two minds and wanting to go all the way with him, but he is definitely better when he sees everything in front of him, including Franklin.
As we get your opinion on that,
some defenders can defend backwards, can't they? And some don't. And sometimes coaches want their player just to sit in the spot and not go too high.
Yeah.
We don't know what directions he's been given, but it certainly looked better when he was waiting for it coming back. Yeah.
But let's have a look at what that looks like, Bomber, when he is coming at the ball, because he's a very good reader of the play, Jared.
And he's been in good form.
He loves this sort of ball here. He knows exactly what's required and he can diffuse that problem. Sellers?
Yes, he can, because what Franklin didn't do then was take his body out of the way. One of the things about him coming forward is it's good because no one can handle Buddy going back. I don't care who you are. If you can find one, Kingy, let us know.
Well, we're still waiting for Jesse Owens to come up and 6'4". That's the kind of player you'd need to play on him.
Franklin's taken 5 marks. He's kicked the 2-2. He's only taken 2 marks inside 50, so they've got the job done there. It's just outside of 50. That Buddy zone we keep talking about, that's the problem where he can be lost. Want your opinion on this? Durham was up in arms upstairs. Lindsay Thomas, he's perfected this free kick. It's a real frustration.
I haven't got a problem with that one, but I think his second one is a major issue because he comes back and almost enforces the decision. We'll see this one second time. He goes away and then he comes back to the tackler.
So is the onus on the tackler still? And where does it differentiate, boys, next door?
The first one I dislike, but I can understand because he's confronted by the tackling player and he comes to him, drops his knees, keeps his body straight, draws the high contact. He's the one who initiates high contact here. See? He initiates it, but the onus is still on the tackler to lay that tackle and get him around the way. So we don't like it, but you can understand it. But the second one,
which is a disgrace,
I'll say it, is the most disgraceful free kick I have seen in years. He is facing the other way. His exit point is the other way, but he goes into reverse to find this head-high contact. This is a blight on the game, and I would call on the league's rule makers to cut this crap out. I hate it.
I'll be devil's advocate.
I hate it.
I know that, but I'll be devil's advocate. Grab him around the waist.
Well, you're trying to.
Yeah, but that's...
You're trying to, Ed.
It's no different to trying for a mark. You've got to get the ball.
I defy you to tackle me around here now.
Yeah, I know that, but that's good play.
It's not good play.
It's the free kick and kick the goal.
Well, okay, the principle... Okay, there's been 20 free kicks in this first half. 9 of them have been head high. You would have to go back 10, 15 years. In 20 free kicks, you might get 1 or 2. They actually search for them now. They're willfully endangering themselves to draw the high free kick. It's a blight on the game.
No, the thing about it, if you go back through look at that replay again, he actually gets his arm and grabs it so it goes over it. You can't do anything else but get around your neck, and that's why it's poor.
He's only kicked 3 goals. He's kicked 3 goals, 1 so far. I only hope he does it another 6 or 7 times.
I know that.
Where's first contact? That's the thing that worries me.
Not that one. The next one.
The first contact there was in the arm.
Across the shoulder.
It was in the arm.
Across the chest.
This is the one here.
This
he comes back here and he got his arm, grabs it, so he has to go around his neck, and now he has no other choice. So that's the drama.
He stays into the knees.
Thanks for bringing that up, Kingy. It's been a great argument.
Oh, I hate it.
Why tackle there when you can tackle there?
That's where they do tackle it, but they slide it.
No, there you go. If the head's sacrosanct, you play for it, you get it, they kick the goal. I agree with you, but that's bad luck. Super Saturday, it's going to be a beauty. Brisbane and Hawthorn. Can the Lions find something? 1:30 against the Hawks. Then it's Melbourne and Port Adelaide. What a game this is going to be. An absolute ripper up in the middle of the country, up in Alice Springs. Etihad Stadium, St Kilda and Fremantle at 4:30. Can the Saints keep going? Their form last week was good. And then Essendon and Richmond. Dream time of the G. One of the marquee games of the year. Adelaide and GWS is going to be an absolute beauty. There they are. The Crows are ready to go. I'm sorry?
That's a raven. That's not a crow. That was a raven.
You're a raven lunatic. But anyway. Seriously, it's a raven, was it?
Yes, it was.
And you would know because
I
you
do.
are?
Well, I'm a budding ornithologist, Ed.
There you are. There we
Love
go.
my birds.
All right, so here's
What sort? Birds.
Here's the Swans. They're looking pretty good at the moment. 9 points in front, buddy. Terrence played pretty well. Certainly the Kangaroos got on top in the second half of that second quarter. So we're in for a ripping game. 9 points of difference. The Swans 50, North Melbourne 41. We're just ready to go here. Josh Kennedy has been best on ground by a street. Dropped off a little bit in the late in the second term. And, well, let's see how he can go in this third quarter. All ready for a start now. It's Sydney and North Melbourne at the SCG.
So North on top of the table for a reason, and they showed that. Approaching half-time. Parker, Tippett, kicks inside the forward 50 in front. Rowan missed the mark. Missing the crumb, McGlynn. In trouble, McKenzie went to ground. And pass comes back from right to Ferrito. Untidy looking kick. Ziebel will get a free kick at centre-half back. No doubting that. Plays on immediately. Comes out wide. Right back in the team tonight. Wanting to centre the ball. Swallow with a lot of territory around him. Short. Harvey comes up on the lead. 55 metres out. So far he's been quiet. Need him to come to the party. High ball. Well, that's a poor kick. Going back, Heaney.
He meant it to Harvey. Was just poorly directed. Thought he would outsmart the Sydney defence. Heaney filling the hole. Thompson's been very good and launching there in a behind.
You just think if Brent Harvey and Jared Waite and Drew Petrie can get going in this game, Doug, North Melbourne win this. They're controlling the footy, they're winning it around the contest, they're moving it well, but just not quite firing up forward.
No, I agree, Lingy. They need a lift from those guys.
So Laidler to himself and then gets it to Tippett and Goldstein. Goldstein worked his way back into the match in the first half. Parker has to be careful there, had it a while. Kennedy and Jack and Swallow willing his way through and then runs into Newells and also Jack and a ball up.
Thank you.
That whole collective North Melbourne midfield, I think off the back of Cunnington, got going in the second term. Hanbury certainly was brilliant. Kennedy great in the first quarter. Ziebel working through, check siding the ball towards goal. Bouncing ball, Grundy has to quickly tap it onto Rampy. Rampy turns the ball out and a boundary thrown. So Swans on the back foot early in the second half, still with the lead, but North Melbourne whittling it away.
Goldstein and Tippett. Tippett certainly has broken even. Taps it down. Smith gets a kick out of that congestion. Runs obligingly initially for McGlynn, then went away from him. Ball comes across to Gibson. Now, here's a chance for them on the break. The hand pass from McGlynn finds Rowan. Rowan, a speedster, somehow came out the other side. Very lucky not to be holding the footy, though. Hewitt to Hanbury. Hanbury, the short one. It just carries towards Franklin. Couldn't hang on. McGlynn's run on, and then the kick's a shocker, although... well, he scuffed it, but it was online for a moment there, and eventually has bounced at right angles and hit the behind post.
I'm with you, Dennis. That seemed a lot like holding the ball, and then I'd say illegal disposal at the end by Gary Rowan, but not paid.
Pretty lucky. Cunnington's hands. Thompson, Hanbury. Thompson was looking for a high one and a ball up. I think Buddy was disappointed McGlynn didn't handball to him either, because McGlynn was in an awkward position on the left. Franklin would have been in a much better one. I feel like Swans need this opening goal again, and Cunningham gets it from the stoppage. That's the start. It gives them a bit of breathing space. He's a role player, isn't he? Not big possessions, but he's a good tackler, a pressure player, and they always pick him.
And doesn't quite get as much of it as Gary Rowan does, but provides the speed as well. We speak about Rowan's speed up there. Cunningham's got genuine leg speed for pressure or for the few times that he can get a hold of the footy. Plays an important role.
They're really important, these stoppage goals, aren't they? And that's just a clever snap in traffic.
Really tight, wasn't it?
Been important so far tonight, those score stoppages. Sydney with their noses in front. North Melbourne very good at it.
Charging off the line, Ziebel, appealing for a free kick. After it goes Swallow, tackled by Kennedy. Ziebel's got a bit of a 2. So the margin 14 points now.
Boys, I'm going to come straight out here. Make sure you don't get me.
Goldstein steps in front of Sinclair, blocked him, well played. Ziebel having trouble picking it up. Eventually cops it up. Sinclair Cunningham back to Jack. Jack sends it inside the forward 50. Tarrant did well initially, knocked it down, but dangerously so. McGlynn this time makes amends. Buddy, one of the first to get across to it. Well done. McGlynn, last week from memory in the third term, bobbed up with some important goals when Sydney were moving against Hawthorn. He's looking dangerous on the forward line now.
Well, that's where you have to live, Lingy. You know that they're going to go to Buddy. You just have to live at his feet. If you're one of those smaller forwards like McGlynn, that's exactly what he did.
Here we see we have even numbers inside forward 50 for both sides. A quick, pure entry, and McGlynn just gets onto it. Nice, easy snap there. Another stoppage goal for the Swans. It's 7 goals, 2 for the night.
So 7 goals to 2 against them too, Jude. So a big advantage there. Worrell started the match with a centre clearance. Millen fancies himself here and goes with a long one. And he's hit it home.
Well, he appeared to go a long way, didn't he? Maybe it was an optical illusion. Wow.
Well, I'm looking forward to sounds of the game, Dan.
Yes, he might be counting as he goes.
He gave us plenty in the first half, but he didn't have a moment like that, did he?
Bit of reverb. Goldstein slaps it down then. Over the football, Lloyd. An emerging player, plenty of it in the first half, plenty of it last week. Nahas, that's holding it surely. That was the perfect tackle.
Let him up, let him up. Let him up here.
Ball up inside the 50.
Backing out this way. He's rocking.
Goldstein backhands it. Dumont crashing in. Goldstein, a half chance. Hewitt though. McVeigh. Got Lloyd in the air. Not so good. Harvey was surrounded. Weight close to the boundary line. Inadvertently, it comes off the boot of Hanbury and goes out of bounds.
Jump off him. Thank you. Yes. Yes. We go to the lesser, throw it in.
Good explanation.
Very experienced umpire, Sean Ryan. Plenty of grand finals. Retired for a little bit, Sean Ryan, as an umpire, and then came back. Great to have him back out there.
Margin 14 points then. Goldstein props in front. Third man up. Dumont had it to himself. Hanbury chopped it off though. Eventually, Mills did well in a tight situation to Marsh, to Jones, and on the lead, Franklin. It was a good grab. It was really hot that time. Tarrant there, step for step. Franklin able to hang on to Hanbury, who will wheel on his left side and run. Decides to kick down towards the pocket. Tip it! Did the hard work, got to it on the full. Ricochets out of bounds.
Big groggy Mills. Okay, now. Tarrant's athleticism is a good match for Buddy, isn't it? I mean, it's been a fascinating duel.
Fought back hard in that second quarter.
Sydney pressing. They've been so accurate in front of goal tonight. Jim McMillan playing a very good match. Some great explanations from him. Rowan so quick, corralled a bit, and well done for Mackenzie in the boundary throw-in. It's feeling like he's going to explode, Rowan, don't we? We cut through the line and give Sydney an extra dimension when he goes forward. Back playing tonight. He's missed so much footy over the years. In fact, he and Lindsay Thomas here, well, that incident changed the game.
Kangaroos.
So Seabull's free kick at half-back.
Out wide. Wells pulls it back towards the middle and right. Right just inside the centre square to take that mark, but steps back outside it and comes to Tarrant. As Bruce said, he's just getting better as a defender, very reliable now. And he plays on short and tall, if necessary. Clever by Atley, got rid of Parker, then couldn't find the handle, and the ball rolls gently across the boundary line.
Let it go, let it go.
McDonald, volatile customer. Goldstein and Sinclair this time. In front, Mitchell. Lays it off. Jack accelerates. Drives it down towards half forward. Franklin! Oh, almost. On the shoulders of Wright, but couldn't hang on.
Don't see him get that high often, do you?
No, he had a good run and jump at that one. He's got his hands a lot to the footy tonight, just hasn't quite hung on to a few of them.
Goldstein good there. Zeeble gets half a kick away. Wells just beat Hanbury to a hard ball. Jamont kicked a goal in that second term. Kennedy sort of robbed him. Lloyd to Hanbury. Down low. Tippett, well played. Gives to Cunningham. Gives to Mitchell. Back to Lloyd. Ball still in. No, out of play apparently. And a boundary throw in. So Sydney pressing hard. It's been a fascinating contest. North come back. Well, there is Buddy. That would have been...
Got the two hands to it, didn't he?
Would have been one of the big marks of his career.
I think that's why, believe it or not, as good as he's been this year, there's still improvement in his game. And that's the part of his game. If he gets right, then he's unstoppable.
Tom Mitchell's had 18 possessions. Dad pretty happy with that. Trying to find a way through is Kennedy. Tippett gets a bouncing football that rebounded kindly to him. Jones to Jack. Jack's kick off the outside of the boot only went about 10 metres. Lloyd dragged down. Jamont confronted. Gets a hand pass back. Atley, well, tried to go through two defenders. He took them on. And it's holding the footy.
Mitchell.
Great call, Dennis. Well umpired. Tried to take them on. As soon as you do that, you've got it's classed as prior opportunity. Just saying how good a night Tom Mitchell's had so far. It was a good, strong tackle. Second effort. Yep, got to dispose of it then as soon as you take that tackler on.
Had to wait so long to get his opportunity, this guy, and now he's entrenched himself in this midfield. It's because of things like that that has got him in there.
Hard tackle to stick front on like that. And the player's upright in the rear that you're trying to tackle him, and that's the finish. Well done by Mitchell. So the Swans are flexing a bit of muscle. Time to chuckle. He's working hard. That's his stock in trade. And Sydney are back up by 20 points. The biggest margin they had in the game was 31.
Dad there, but that bloke next to him, he's the best player ever to come out of Wagga, isn't he? Paul Kelly?
Hey, he most certainly is. He was an absolute superstar, the Brownlow medalist, Paul Kelly.
Well, Paul Kelly and Wayne Carey, the two great Wagga players, both played their 150th on the same night. It was the first night that Boomer Harvey played here at the SCG back in 1997, so the two best from Wagga, eh? Am I missing anyone out, Doug?
Happy to be in the argument, Bruce.
I might get a text from Cam Mooney at some stage.
Does Moons know how to text? He's a premiership player at two clubs, Moons.
Yep.
Paul Kelly, wasn't he tough?
Oh,
he was so brave.
He was a brilliant player.
Great player.
Loved calling him then, didn't you?
Yes, outstanding.
Bobby Skilton, he was a favourite of Bobby Skilton's, Paul Kelly. They shared a few things. Good mark by McVeigh. He's kicked a couple of goals in the first half.
Mills has got a bit to live up to.
Absolutely.
I get the feeling that they think he can, and that's why they gave him that number 10.
Yep. That famous number 14. Sydney keep their noses in front. They're 11 goals to 7-6.
Kennedy hand passes towards the boundary line. It's out now. White bundled across with the footy. Hanbury. No doubt talking to John Longmire. Goldstein takes another set. Alex Oshenko looking over his shoulder. Double-handed down by Brown. Well done by Parker in close to Kennedy. Jack on the overlap down towards half forward. Heaney bounces past him. Front on tackle applied by McGlynn. Trying to get out of there. Atley hasn't learned his lesson. He's taking them on, Atley, and he's paying the price. Still, that was tricky because the player arrived as the ball did.
Push there, Robbie.
So McGlynn's got the footy. Man on the mark is about 52 metres out. Doubt he can do the trip, doesn't try. Centering ball. Up goes Mitchell.
Doing it all.
Well, North Melbourne weren't represented in that pack. Mills was coming one way, Mitchell the other. That was a very clever kick.
It was just late that Ben McGlynn put it out there.
Put it to space, didn't he?
Yep. And either player marks that one. In the end, a good mark, considering he had Mills to contend with by Tom Mitchell. Well, this is starting to turn into a massive game for him. He's won plenty of the footy, but if he can throw a couple of goals into it as a midfielder, that's a huge impact on a game.
As Bruce was saying, great story of perseverance. He was always going to make it. Trying to break into a good side, though, made it tough, and he hits the post here. That's a golden opportunity missed. He could have tightened the screw for his team.
Well, he's always been a ball magnet. They've always known that, but it's that defensive part of his game that why he's getting a game now.
Here he is again. I'm thinking of Jude Bolton in a moment. I'll get to you, Jude, about Tom, because Mills there, taken down, turnover. Atley's had a difficult minute or two. Cunnington, Jamont goes back to Gibson. Cunnington's been very good. Hugging the line, close to the line. Grundy sits and waits, gets to McVeigh. Back to Marsh, the first gamer, 22-year-old, whose grandfather was a star in Genesis WA. Dangerous kick into the centre, McGlynn courageous. Ferrito, good give by Cunningham. Lloyd running hard, gets to centre wing.
But going on behind play, the umpire may have spotted it.
Boys, it's a free down here.
Well, Ferrito was putting some real work on McGlynn.
It's a Sydney free.
Behind the play, that was then.
Yeah, as a result of what we saw. Just flashed on the screen there. Tippett kicks inside the forward 50. Brown at the last moment decides to pump it away. Well, low bouncing ball comes in from Jack. Didn't get it cleanly. Ricochets off Thompson and goes out.
Well, this is what I was talking about here.
Yeah, Benny McGlynn wasn't happy with the treatment dealt by Ferrito.
He was courageous in the first place by McGlynn to stand under that footy.
Boundary throw in meantime. Tippett from behind. One down by his teammate Sinclair. Cunnington. His kick half smothered. Runs about 10 metres away. Hanbury after Jack had a chance. Now it's with Lloyd from Mitchell. Over the top. Surrounded was Franklin. Just hand passed away in hope. I'm betting it's Atley in there again. Ball up.
Okay, who's up?
So North on the back foot for the minute. Gibson's handball. Cunnington getting as far as he can outside that danger zone. Harvey trying to use the body. Rampy with the left foot. Close to the line. Bouncing in. Hey, Jude, just a quickie on Mitchell. I mean, were you keeping him out? I mean, we just couldn't quite get in, could he, for a long time?
Yeah, he had to work a little bit on his defensive side of the game, and obviously seeing that strong tackling from Tom Mitchell tonight. But we've always known he's been able to win the footy and get after the footy, but he's worked two ways now, and that's the expectation of a midfielder.
Gibson cuts off the Hanbury hand pass and releases our man, McMillan. Has the bounce up through midfield. Bearing down is Lloyd. Lloyd stifled a hand pass. It came back to McMillan. Now Zeeble dragged down. Well played by Mills. Little one from Lloyd. Ran Jones into trouble. Presence of mind to give it off. And now Hewitt kicking down towards half forward. Asking a lot of the big guys. Sinclair out of bounds would do. But Ferrito played it well. To the boos of the crowd. Gave it to Thompson. Thompson to McDonald. Back come North. Kick goes beyond the wing. Taken by Waite. Waite on the outer side then. His side trailing 69 to 48. Just lobs it in the half-forward direction. Coming up was Petrie. Had it bounce off his chest. Laidler gave it to Jack. Gets away nicely. Mitchell having a blinder in this term to Laidler. Laidler out of the defensive 50, spots a man. Now they're on here, Hanbury. McGlynn is running, and they've got spare men ahead of the ball. McGlynn to Franklin, perhaps not the option. Missed him. Backing it up is right. Back come North, Thompson.
Gee, they missed a moment there, didn't they? Franklin trying to run Goldstein down, he got him. Well played, buddy.
Play on!
Good kick forward. Parker measures it. Not a great kick, Hewitt got down low. free not pay, quickly steps up, Wait in a good position, doesn't take the mark though. McGlynn's been busy, keeps the ball in. Thompson sets himself and takes the mark.
Well, this is a massive 7 minutes 30 to go in this game. Sydney have been very good, but they haven't just finished their work off there. Had a chance for a certain goal, but went to Buddy instead. North Melbourne, can they hold their nerve and counter-punch with an important goal? This is a big patch in the game.
And Wayne so much talked about going to Franklin too much this year, so that was a moment there. Hanbury's little one to the pocket.
I was going to say Duck's article last week, ringing in our ears. Ball close to the boundary line. Stewart making an attempt.
He's such a big presence, Dennis, that when he leads up to the footy, the first thing that the player with the footy sees is him.
Yeah.
So it's up to the player behind. He's got to at least move. You can't stand still because players' eyes are attracted to movement.
Initially it was 3-on-1, wasn't it? Goldstein going to Swallow. Smothered by Tippett. Ricochets out of bounds. Margin was 9 points at half-time, so the Swans have done best in this quarter. They're up by 21. Tippett steps around Goldstein. Goldstein reaches over the top. Mitchell grabs it. Hanbury, that was a great gather. Gave it to Kennedy, back to Mitchell. Mitchell under real pressure. Laidler, well done, Swallow. Swallow went to ground then, slapped across nicely by Kennedy. Laidler, was he taken high? He thought he was. He was grimacing as he went down. We've got a whistle.
It's not prior. It is not. Relax. Relax. Okay, relax. I'm throwing it up.
Goldstein against the mob there. Kennedy trying to barge his way through. This is going to be really hot footy.
North Melbourne. End off.
I don't know.
No, it's right.
Well, listening to the umpire, it was for offend, but he was set upon straight away. No prior opportunity there, but free kick paid.
Gibson, Tippett, Mitchell, Hanbury. Well played, Sydney. And then Lloyd wants a tricky bounce, didn't get it. McDonald belts the ball back. Laidler, good vision. Mills sweeps the ball back. Gets to Smith. Smith gets around Thomas. Tackle didn't stick. Mills, well played, young man. Mitchell. So Kennedy's first quarter, Hanbury's second quarter, Mitchell's third quarter. Three outstanding efforts by the midfield.
And a good kick to follow it to Hanbury. 12 possessions for Mitchell, 6 of them contested. Hanbury slips, wanted to go, still does. And Sinclair within scoring range, but this is a difficult job.
16 tackles between Kennedy and Tom Mitchell, which sometimes can mean you're second to the footy, but Mitchell's had the 28 disposals and Kennedy the 23, so they've been winning the footy, but also putting pressure on.
It's that depth that they have through there. If one doesn't get you, the other one does.
Will he run around? Strange to say most of the players don't bother. There goes the kick from Sinclair, who should have bothered, to the opposite pocket, off hands, and the ball goes out of bounds.
It is really interesting, Dennis. We talk about it week after week, where that 10-metre rule, you've got so much room on your outside. You can just run around, kick a drop punt, right post. It opens the goals up.
Tipper Goldstein, Tipper winning it. Kennedy and Swallow. Swallow all over him. I think Zeeble trying to crash through. Is it Zeeble?
Holding the ball, you've got to have it.
Not Zeeble, I think it's down
You can't
centre.
just hold it like that. Let it go. You can't just hold it, you've got to make it an attempt. Don't you? Give it to him.
He's been quiet too, hasn't he, Dell?
Yep, he has.
10 possessions.
It's once they tackle you, you've got to make an attempt. Clear it out, guys, clear it out.
Is it a fair call? I mean, it was a strong explanation. What do you think?
You just had the ball in your arm, you made no effort. Just one more.
I understand the need, you've got to make an attempt, but I don't know what he could have done then.
So Jones really to give them some breathing space, and he's shanked it.
Bruce, you know, the only thing I can think of that Del Santo could have done then is just let it go, but then perhaps he's going to be penalised for illegal disposal. So I'm not sure in that situation what Nick Del Santo could have done.
McDonald around the outer side. She's been good when called upon tonight. Grundy overhead. He's been stellar. Generally conceding height, kicks this one back inside the forward 50. They all step aside. Tippett was coming up. Falls to Parker, picked up by Ferrito at close quarters. Swallow, driven down by Cunningham. Out of there by Kennedy. Heaney snaps across the body, it bounces just inside the line.
Well, it's a couple of those kangaroo leaders that need to lift, Petrie being one of them. You've got Harvey, Del Santo, all need to lift for the Kangas.
Between them, they're the guys that have played over 1,000 games.
Yep.
Sydney with all the inside 50s. We saw that a moment ago. Goldstein just winning it. Handenbury can't get away from Swallow. Del Santo, ball on the ground. Cunningham into his back for the minute. Well done there by Hewitt. He just took it away from Gibson. That ball's still not out and the ball up.
I reckon Goldstein's in trouble too with that strapped right knee. That could be the problem, either that or a cork, but he's really hobbling.
Had that burst in the second term, didn't he? Tip at front spot. Ferrito has to have quick hands. Now Rowan in a good spot here. He's so quick. Does he hook back? Oh, brilliantly done. What a goal. Sidestepped and banged it home. That's what he's got. It's X factor, isn't it?
Well, his speed there bought him time.
Yeah,
exactly. Bought him enough time to have the composure to kick it.
He could be something, couldn't he? I mean,
you just want him to get a clean run at it, don't you?
He's 24 years of age. He's in his prime in so many ways. He's missed 88 games since his first match. Yeah. He's played 63. But this is as good as it gets.
Well, his electric speed here just buys him time. He gets to the footy, enough time, sells a little bit of candy. That is X factor there, Bruce, as you said.
That's what the NBA basketball is called an ankle breaker. He changed direction that quickly. That was brilliant by Gary Rowan.
75 to 48 on the way down Goldstein. After it goes Kennedy. Zeeble is in there as well. Zeeble will get a free. Of course, Rowan inadvertently changed the law of the game on this ground against this team. There goes the kick from Zeeble inside the forward 50. They're queuing up down there for the Swans. And then Rowan dropped the mark. Or was it? Yeah, it was Rowan. We'll get a ball up. I don't know what he was doing down there. Getting back to help out after kicking a goal at the other end.
Yeah, Lindsay Thomas getting in low on him and broken leg and the sliding rule.
Again, all over, guys.
Will North need to one hold and get one back here. Sydney has led at three-quarter time in every match they've played this season. And they'll do it again tonight. Heaney from McVeigh after Kennedy's great work. Franklin and Tarrant. Mitchell's had a magnificent term, a really good match and a brilliant third quarter. McVeigh fends off. He's been important, McVeigh. Growing in confidence as the season goes on. Thompson, Sinclair completely outnumbered. Atley, not much bounce for him off half-back court, holding the ball twice in this quarter. Back to Thompson. Thompson's match-up with Heaney a couple of times has been terrific tonight. It's a neat-looking kick, but Rampy read it so well to Franklin. Good give to Mitchell. Rampy on the right side for him.
On the wing then, looks inside the forward 50. Just two players down there initially. Well played by Atley. Rushing back to help out was Thompson. Now this is Tarrant. To centre half back to a contest. Lloyd did well enough. Hannerbury, dangerous with his hands, gets it back, goes again. Missed his target that time, intended for Franklin, who applies a tackle on Tarrant. Cunnington gets the spill and takes it across the line.
That's the first time Hannerbury has missed his target tonight with his hands. His hands have been absolutely spot on.
6 North Melbourne players without a possession this quarter, 2 with only 1 possession each, and it's most of their forward line. Got a group of players who simply have to lift now. They've got to find a way.
Well, a couple of those guys, to be honest with you, probably haven't seen the ball for a while. I mean, they're not in the forward line as we speak, but the ball's hardly been inside their forward 50 for...
No, it's Ben Brown, Lindsay Thomas, Drew Petrie, Nahas, all haven't touched the footy. Del Santo as well, another one who hasn't touched it. Those guys have got to get their way into this game in this last quarter.
So Heaney's kick, not 15 apparently. Tarrant with a bit of a problem now. And just stepping over the line, McKenzie.
Yeah, you'd assume Brad Scott would have some serious words with his midfielders. They're minus 17, minus 18 now in contested possession around the footy this term alone.
Boundary throw in. Inside the attacking 50 for Sydney, who've done most of the attacking. Goldstein to Cunnington. Off to Tarrant. High one, short of the wing. Petrie did well, came from behind Del Santo. Quick hands, get across to right. It was Waite. Close to the boundary line. Chance there for Rampy. Upended was Mills. Harvey came back. Won a hard ball. Down goes Petrie. North arrived first. Zeeble decided it was his ball. Picked it up. But going nowhere.
They're ferocious, Sydney.
Yeah. Lingy, it's the first time ever North have had 8 guys that are 30 or over it playing in a match of their history. And some of those guys tonight have looked their age.
Yeah, and they're the players that if they're going to win this game, they've got to do something in the last quarter. Harvey, Petrie, Wade up forward, Del Santo on ball. Experienced gun players. When you're playing against the best, you need your good players to play well. And those guys haven't had a good night. But the beauty of a game of footy is you can still have a big last quarter and be a major reason why your team wins.
Because scoreboard-wise, they're not completely out of this by a long stretch. It's been catch-up footy for most of the night. Wade takes his first really telling mark of the evening. Can they get that late goal, which will give them some momentum? McMillan, he hasn't quite found the target. Harvey's give. Nahas hooking it and hitting the post. A real chance deep into the third term. A couple of the guys you mentioned hadn't had a touch. Have had a touch in the last minute or two, haven't they?
It's just something. Going into three-quarter time, 6 seconds to go before three-quarter time. Just something that they can build on. A little shot of confidence for them.
So big quarter for the Swans. Tom Mitchell led the way. And they're going to have a pretty handy break at three-quarter time. Goldstein with the last act to play. And that's it. So Sydney kicked 4 goals to 1 in that quarter. They've stretched their lead. Tippett's been good. He's had the better of the duel so far. Rowan provided a real highlight. And for the 10th time this year, Sydney lead at three-quarter time. It's 75-49.
Tonight was all about statements. And who's gonna make the biggest one? Despite having not lost a single game, despite sitting 2 games clear on top of the ladder, we still need proof the Kangaroos are the real deal. What a statement a victory tonight would make. The Swans, fresh off a win against the reigning champs, win this, and premiership favouritism is theirs and theirs alone. If you want to make a statement, this is the time and the place. This is Friday Night Football.
And the Swans are in the driving seat, but who has to go here for North for them to make their statement in the final term?
Well, they're big guns up forward. Drew Petrie, Jared Waite, Brent Harvey need to get going, and Nick Del Santo and Daniel Wells, class players, high quality players in the midfield, got to get their hands on the footy. They need to find goals early too in this last quarter too, just to give them a little bit of belief.
Goldstein was getting worked on at three-quarter times, looks real determined look on his face, starting here in the centre bounce.
Fanatical term, that third one for Sydney, inspired by Mitchell and Hanbury, both of whom had 13 possessions. Harvey hasn't been booming tonight. So the job nearly and squarely in front of North Melbourne. Just the 1 goal in that third quarter. And it counted most, although now this quarter counts even more. Friday Night Football at the SCG. Opening bounce, final term. Can North stay undefeated? Wide of the pack, Gibson. Missed the target. Zeeble went back and found it under pressure. High ball inside the forward 50, and a good mark is taken down there by Smith. Smith, well, he's going to get a free kick. He's a bit lucky there. Just wandered wide of the mark, and the umpire was very quick to call play on. This one comes to Mitchell, who just knocked up getting possessions. Most of them, more than half contested.
Kicked an important goal too, didn't he? So he was fantastic, as Dennis said, in that third term. Their midfield have been brilliant tonight. Rowan getting it from Parker. Cunningham, Kennedy, great vision, sweeping it to McGlynn. McGlynn, Tippett on his bike. Now Goldstein trying to corral him. Tippett kicking the ball forward, getting close. Ferrito doesn't run it over. And then hugging the line, close to that line, Cunnington in a good contest with Kennedy in a boundary throw-in.
I love the fact that Tippett ran forward, putting Goldstein under pressure, making him defend.
Boundary throw-in outside the 50 then, Tippett. Been tireless. Goldstein was in the hands of the physios at three-quarter time. Heaney did well. Hanbury ricochets across to Del Santo. Not a particularly good hand pass off the ground by Thomas. Only as far as Rampy. Rampy on centre wing. Biggest lead of the game, 31 points for Sydney. Another goal here, and they will have the biggest lead of the night then. There's Kennedy off hands. He's been tireless. Looks inside the forward 50. Just wide of McGlynn. Coming up behind him, Parker. He fell over. Picked up by McKenzie. Little 1-2 with Tarrant. Coming through was Del Santo.
Loose ball. Jones, important ball here. Did pretty well, then held up. So too high, so Swans free kick.
Paid from the non-officiating umpire. It was a good call, a long way away, the umpire there, but he had the better vision. Really good decision.
Just 23rd game for Jones. You can see him developing, can't you? That's a good kick. And Rowan Franklin on the burst. Has he got enough length? He has, but he's missed.
This might be a little bit unpopular, but that was going too far then. I don't think that was Bloody Franklin having the best shot at goal for the team. I reckon Gary Rowan goes back and has a set shot from there.
He wasn't balanced enough then, buddy.
No. We do like the ball in his hands, though.
As they are right now.
Oh, that's not that bad, because if he lets him go there, McDonald, Buddy's off, and he's having another shot at goal. So, professional free kick, I'll put that one down as.
Goes short, and not a great kick to be truthful.
Nahas, across half back then. Del Santo demands the footy. Bounces a hand pass across to McDonald. Zeeble trailing. Comes up towards the wing and Cunnington. Cunnington towards the middle, and Del Santo is pushed up from half back. Thinks about the corridor, decides against it, at least in the short term. And comes very wide to Wells. Rowan's got a strong leg too, but he looked like Buddy's butler there, just giving it to him as he cruised past. No need for that. There's Tarrant in the centre square. Long ball. Brown is coming at it strongly, but the man in front, Rampy, got the early fist, knocked it away. McKenzie onto it, and he is deadly with his feet. Well, foot. He's left-footed. I haven't seen him kick with the right, but why would you? Here's Harvey.
Yeah, they want the ball in McKenzie's hands a lot more. He is a beautiful kick of the footy.
Just a lazy kick there from Buddy that caused that turnover too. Just a bad little patch for Lance Franklin. Shouldn't have taken that handball from Gary Rowan. Wasn't the best decision, and then missed that kick. Just needs to get back to doing what he's done the rest of this game and do the basic things well. Important kick here for Boomer.
His 12th possession of the night. And he doesn't normally miss, but this one is wayward. As I said, his record against Sydney is not strong, particularly on this ground. Just these things happen during a player's career. Generally, most players have a team or two that, for whatever reason, they haven't played well against.
Yep, Hanbury. Goldstein building it away. Clever quick release there from Kennedy. Zeeble. And that ball not out. And now getting out. Still back in. Still not quite out. Kennedy still doing the heavy lifting. And getting some help and a ball up.
They need to take the game on, North Melbourne. Just move the ball really quickly, get some pure entries inside forward 50 and get their big tools into the game.
Still not a goal by either team in this final term.
Said Sydney. Wide of the pack, Zeeble. Hurried kick down towards the pocket. Some hanging on, and Wade, I think, will get the free advantages taken. Storming around in the pocket is Nahas. Runs into a dead end, but eventually kicks the goal. I don't think that was his intention to use Brown as a decoy, but circumstances got him into a tight situation, and he thought his way pretty well through it. Boomer's still not happy about his miss, but the team got the goal. That's the main thing out of all of that. Quick succession. Nahas bobs up. and got the goal that Harvey could.
The free kick was paid against Rampy. Just a panicked grab of Jared Waite. And the advantage to Robbie Nahas. And when you take that advantage, you've got to make sure it ends up as a goal. But credit to him, he did exactly that.
So North with real belief here. Brown, good, strong mark after Goldstein won the clearance. And suddenly, within 60 seconds, they can go from 26 points behind to 14.
Well, they've dominated centre clearances tonight, and they're the number one scoring team from centre clearances. So now it's starting to get a bit of value from that. And Jude said, move it quickly to those big forwards. It's exactly what Goldie did.
Well, he's pretty reliable, the big guy. He's got the long run up. Massive kick. This to give North a big, big chance. Struck it well, holding the line, missing at the end. So he's had 3 set shots tonight. The 2 misses have not been by much, but they've been big.
That was a huge one, wasn't it?
Yep.
McVeigh needed a couple of goals tonight. With the kick-in duties this time, close to the boundary line. Up goes Heaney, spring heel jack. That was a terrific effort.
First time Thompson hasn't been by his side. He got a bit of room for once.
It's been a good matchup, that Scott Thompson on Isaac Heaney.
Well held.
Thompson being able to play taller, stronger in the air.
Hills got a loose man on this side of the ground now. Rampy holds up though. Mitchell demands it, bypasses him, well spotted. Hanbury lurking behind, gets the footing, gets the advantage. High kick inside the forward 50. Franklin set in front. Parker, quick release. McGlynn picked the wrong man. Zebel took him down. Backing out of trouble, Parker tackled by Dumont. Dumont wins the free kick. Wells wants to take advantage. Need to be careful now. It's been granted. Attlee again, this time breaks free. Chased by a wave of Sydney players. Kicks it up towards the wing. And he finds Petrie.
Such a quiet night for Drew, but maybe he can have an impact here. Dumont, awful looking kick. And Heaney cuts it off. That's a massive turnover. North had a real chance there. They're only 1 goal away, you feel, putting absolute heat on Sydney. Mitchell, Marsh, first game for him, to Kennedy. Kennedy measures, doesn't get it far enough. Cunnington read it best. Probably been North's best player for the whole night, I think, Cunnington.
Yeah, if they can get a goal here, the Kangaroos, Swans under real pressure.
I feel like North now are running over the ground a little better than Sydney. Cunnington gets it back from Attlee, goes short. Here's Wells, one of the guys that Lingy talked about at 3/4 time.
Sends a long ball inside the forward 50 yet again, testing this defence once more. McVeigh gets the crumb. Mitchell behind the pack to Lloyd, brings it out. Kennedy in front, must get a free kick here, Kennedy. None was paid, no whistle. Wells slips a hand pass away. Arriving was Jack, played it brilliantly. Got it to Kennedy, to Mitchell. Now Hanbury. That bounced in front of Sinclair, so a lot of work to be done. He does it well. Strong tackle by Sinclair, not favoured by the hand pass. Took the smaller man, McDonald, in his grasp. And that saves a situation that could have turned nasty as far as Sydney were concerned. Sinclair goes up and taps this one down. Mitchell on all fours. Working hard in there, getting the hand pass was Cunnington, but straight to a man who was standing a metre away. That was Goldstein.
You just get the feeling the next goal for Sydney here could almost break the back of the Kangaroos, but if the Kangaroos get it, all of a sudden Sydney start to tighten up a little.
Spot on, Duck. Which way does it go? Hanbury, 30 again tonight. Lloyd gets the ball over the back, the bouncing ball, and running away. So Dan Hanbury, 7 of the last 8 matches he's played, he's had 30 plus, and they're quality pluses.
His balance, you said it before, Bruce, his balance of hardness and ability to win the contest, but then work and explode into space, it's just first class.
Perito kicks it back inside the centre square. Harvey picked it up. Back to Dumont. Goldstein's in trouble. Hanbury applied the tackle. Hand pass from Cunnington. Dumont again. Now he gets it to Wright. Right on the burst. Sends it out wide. This will be interesting. Bearing down is Mills. Mills, Nahas. That's a good result. That's a win for Sydney. Mills against a nimble player just corralled him and then took possession of the ball along with the man, Nahas. And as a result, it's tossed up. Brown, though, decisively. That is swallowed at Cunnington. Broadens things. McMillan stepped through a couple. Hewitt applied a tackle, affected the kick, and Mills now gets his reward and goes short and finds Jack.
Jack off a step. He's been good again tonight, Jack. What a wonderful career. Gibson. Fantastic tackle by Mitchell. Not sure that he's played a better game. He's played some good ones. Jones's wobbly old kick. Tarrant and Franklin. Still Tarrant and Franklin. Ferrito and Tippett. Can Buddy get a hold of it? He can't quite in a boundary throw. Hey, Jude, just quickly, I mean, Kennedy's always been the gun. You've told me that. For the first time, do you reckon Hanbury's the top seed or not?
I think he's very close at the moment. He's got probably a bit more outside run than obviously Kennedy. Kennedy's once again has had 19 contested possessions again tonight, so he's on fire. But Hanbury is elite.
Swallow got boot to ball after all of that. Opportunity for Hanbury. Here's Marsh. Stylish debut, done some good things. Jones pulls it back. Rampy takes the mark. So Rampy looking inside the forward 50, and why not go to Heaney? Give him space like that out in front of him. Not much Thompson could do. He's booted one. 10 minutes remaining in the game.
Sorry, Dan. Jared McVeigh just running straight over to Isaac Heaney then, saying take your time, take your full 30 seconds and have a set shot to compose himself, one, but also just to give the rest of those Sydney players a rest. Just let them suck in a bit of oxygen. It's been up and down the ground. Important here.
Big kick this one then. Steps to the 50. Missed it by a long way. It's out of bounds, I think, on the full. Best news there, it stays in the forward 50, at least in the short term.
So Swans without a goal in the last term, but still with a comfortable lead. Wouldn't be comfortable if North get the next one. Smith, well done. Lloyd, Mills, good kick by Mills, puts it into a dangerous spot. Tippett and Franklin with the flyers. Rowan lurking here, couldn't quite get the run at it. Thompson, ball up. Just on those two midfielders, Jude. 49 Brownlow votes between Kennedy and Hanbury last year.
They've both been sensational. I guess they complement each other so well, and then you throw the Mitchell around those stoppages as well. It's a pretty good mix in there.
Hanbury again, Jack boundary throw in.
Geez, Parker's not a bad one if you're going to have him as number 3 in there, and Jack.
So is this the best midfield in the comp?
Well, it's certainly in the argument.
Locked down by Goldstein. Hewitt goes back to Jones, though, who goes with the outside of the boot, and the defender's a hero. That celebration says plenty. Still 9 minutes to go, but the Swans sensing they've broken the back of the resistance. It was a big goal. Both sides had their chances earlier, but the most unexpected player got the goal, Jones, and it was a skillful kick.
Well done. We talked about him earlier. He's improving.
He's courageous and he's hard, but to play at the top level for a long period of time, you need to have skill as well, and that's exactly what Zach Jones has shown tonight, and that, in a big moment, is a brilliant goal, and he loves it, and his teammates certainly love it.
And they get that break again. Inspired Jones, building the ball to half forward. Sinclair made a good contest. Rowan couldn't quite get through.
Holding the ball, illegal disposal.
I'm watching Jones' goal there. Ferrito getting the ball out wide. Marsh, little give. McMillan's had some good moments, hooking the ball around. Waite's been quiet. Talked about the two-sided players in the old days. These days, that's a terrible kick. Very few players do use the left foot. And we just saw Jones there.
Yeah, there's a lot that can't.
Jack goes wide. Heaney off balance. One player slip on the logo. Mitchell. McVeigh pushed as he kicked, affected the kick. Goldstein just lays it off. McKenzie forced a hand pass, knocked forward by Wright. That was clever. But then he coughs it up. Jones having a purple patch, went to Parker. Parker finds Mitchell, and here's Franklin. Well, listen to that roar. It's like Mr. Fun walking into a dull party. He'll kick a goal from about 35, 40 metres out, and if he does, then you think that North can't get back.
And again, it was Tom Mitchell using the ball into Lance Franklin up forward. Mitchell has had 37 disposals. That is a huge night, and this will kill off North Melbourne's chances, you'd think.
Sydney have the biggest lead of the match. He's got 3. Mickey O'Loughlin celebrating. We talked about defining games, and this was on that list. Buddy Franklin has had some defining moments, no question about that, but he's had better teammates tonight. A hard-working midfield has been the key.
It's a hard question who's got the best midfield off the top of your head, but you feel like Parker, Kennedy and Henry could all be All-Australians, don't you?
Yep.
So he joins Barry Hall with 746 goals. Sav Rockerson next on the list. He's equal 14th on the all-time list. I think he'll get 1,000 goals. I think he's the one that can.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's the only one that can certainly in the modern game, obviously. There's plenty of young players, Bruce, like Cameron and these guys coming through.
Yep. So Wells turning, Grundy taking the mark. So if North lost a bit of ground tonight, or are they about where you thought they were before tonight? I'm conceding that they're probably not going to get up from here.
Well, Sydney are hard to beat at the SCG.
And I think North have been good in patches. I think they'll go away from this game having learnt a lot, and just maybe a little bit of a reminder about how much you have to sustain that ability to win the contest through the middle of the ground. Even though they had their patches in the second quarter and even the start of this last quarter, Sydney over the course of the night just haven't let up at all. That's a great lesson for North Melbourne, and they're in a position where, as you said, if they do go on to lose this one, they're 9-1. They're in a great position to then set up for the rest of the season.
Kennedy's tackle's a beauty. Well, we came here tonight thinking that tall forward line would be a big problem for the Swans, didn't we?
Yeah, and I don't think Jared Waite, Drew Petrie and Brent Harvey will have as quiet a night again for the rest of the season together at the one time. They've had a really poor night, and that's not like them. They're all quality footballers.
Zach Jones puts it out of bounds on the full. Wright back in the team tonight to take this. Battling injury.
Jacobs would have been handy tonight to put a clamp on somebody.
Dan Hanbury springs to mind straight away.
Wright kicks along the boundary, and a good mark is taken by McVeigh. So that fan, who's a tactician, I think, had things work out perfectly. Delayed, then gave the ball back, and they kicked it straight to his team. There goes the kick from McVeigh, back inside the forward 50. Just getting the crumb, McGlynn. He really kick-started them early in the third quarter. He was full of energy, McGlynn. Ball up, 89-57.
And the big lead, Kennedy turning and twisting. Mitchell. Both those players well over 30 along with Hanbury.
He was arguably the best player last week as a tagger, Mitchell. And then he's come in this week and done a job. Taggers are back in vogue. Ben Jacobs is a massive loss. I agree with you, Bruce.
He certainly would have had his hands full tonight, but he would have been an important player. They just haven't been able to contain the big three midfielders. Parker's been off to the side a bit. He's been good. Jack's done his role. Wright's kick wide later. Courageous mark. Well done. Talked about the fact that he's had a lot of downs in his career, this young guy. Played a lot of one season, missed the final. Franklin nearly. Not quite. Parker, well done. Mitchell again getting close to 40, if not there already. Wells, free kick.
Number 40, Bruce, you're right.
He's under 40, is it?
Yep. 10 kicks, 30 handballs. Certainly been feeding his teammates.
41 his career high.
There's Buddy again. Got it from Jack. Long kick. Just wide.
Hanbury won at Tissot last week. He's been in the running again tonight. In the running. Not saying he's got it just yet.
I reckon Tom Mitchell might have something to say.
Well, saying he's in the running.
We might have an argument up here.
Dan can set up a stall in the mall. There goes the ball out wide from Brown. Mark is taken by Waite. seconds to go. Now he does. Petrie juggles the mark, sliding in. So that tall timber on the forward line didn't bother Sydney. Zeeble on the lead, had it knocked away. Kennedy. It's been a powerhouse. Jack comes away. Little chip. Petrie following up. Had the kick initially. Gives it to Gibson. Gibson runs to the 50. Kick is on the way, but it's a poor one. He hasn't had a great night either. A few North Melbourne players off the boil. All the big numbers, certainly, with the key players for Sydney tonight.
30th birthday for Sam Gibson today. It's been a strong last term by the Swans. McVeigh kicked the opening goal of the match. Sinclair claiming the mark, not paid, ball up.
Didn't mark it, ended up hitting his leg and coming back.
You consider North Melbourne have scored average 15 points from clearances. The Swans have absolutely dominated tonight. 10 goals, 4 from clearances.
So that crowd tonight, 38 plus. Wait going early. Nahas, Harvey, will he use him? He snaps himself and misses so behind. So that's the third biggest crowd here at the SCG in the last 15 years. So a lot talked about the difficulty of playing on a Friday night here with all the traffic and everything else that happens around the SCG, but it's a strong turnout. They'll be really happy.
Rowan to himself. Dashes out of the square. Sends it short of the wing. Thompson with the judgment. Send it back in. Thomas stayed off the pack. Waite was the player who flew, but Marsh takes the mark in front. The young man making his debut. Rampy told to play on. Well, he's surprised by that. Goes to McVeigh. Out wide, Mitchell. And Mitchell decides to run it up towards left half back and then comes back towards the middle at Grundy. Slow kick, but it got there in time. Just talking about young Marsh, dual Sandover medalist. Ray Sorrell is his granddad. In fact, Ray's got 2 grandchildren, the brothers playing in the AFL. Jonathan at Collingwood and Harry making his debut tonight.
Did you see him play, Dan Ray Sorrell?
Saw too much of him, Bruce. He was a wonderful player. Wonderful player. He'd go very well in today's football. Perfectly balanced. On the ground was White. Kennedy, that was slick to tip it. Parker. And now Lloyd paddling it along in front.
Thompson. Been good. We've talked about his battle with Heaney. Sydney had a number of players. Not one of them got it in the end. Worlds. Good vision. Fine Zeeble. This collective midfield's had their colours lowered. And you think for Sam Lloyd's kick after the siren, the Swans after tonight actually would have been on top of the table. But for that...
Touch. Play on.
Heard the call from the umpire. Harvey. Boomer's going to plead that he didn't hear it.
That was really clever by Tom Mitchell. Didn't decide to fly it because he knew that it was touch. Allowed Harvey to mark it, just straight away tackled him. Instead, if he had flown, he could have gone to ground. It could have ended up anywhere. He's certainly got a footy brain, Tom Mitchell.
Better hearing.
Well, he's a bit young. He doesn't need a hearing aid.
You looked at me when you said that.
You're younger than Harvey. Here's Rowan with one bounce. And does he get another one in? No, he ran too far. Gee, that's a great ball, Atley. I mean, you've got two absolute thoroughbreds, haven't you?
He was unlucky then, Gary Rowan, that it was Sean Atley chasing him. He's as quick as him.
I tell you what, he's quicker than the other bloke that used to wear number 18 for the Kangaroos.
There goes Lloyd inside the forward 50. Well played by Tarrant. The ball showed a little bit to him by Franklin on the juggle, and then he knocked it away. Comes to Kennedy now. Kennedy spots Hewitt, and Hewitt is only 15 metres out. Well, despite Tarrant's good work there and Franklin's lead, it's going to be another goal to Sydney, you would think.
Was well defended by Tarrant. See Todd Goldstein just on the bench there, icing the knee up. I would assume that is just precautionary. North Melbourne know the game's gone. Don't risk such an important player. Let's hope it's nothing more than that.
George Hewitt going at his second goal then, inside the last minute, and he's missed. Well, it doesn't affect the result. 91 plays 59. Well done by Sydney.
Maintain their unbeaten record here. 5 out of 5 this season. A couple of weeks' time they played GWS Giants over the road and round the corner. That will be something in this town. Waite's kick. As good as they are, there's an argument they're not the best team in Sydney at the moment. We'll wait for a fortnight to work that one out, I reckon, don't you?
Sobering thought, though, isn't it?
Well,
and that it's in debate.
Absolutely. So Sydney, by winning tonight, they take down the unbeaten North Melbourne. Now Sando had it cut off by Jones, had a big last quarter. Ball squeezing out the back. Hewitt getting it back only as far as Cunnington. Whirls with a late goal and he gets it. So North get the final goal of the match, but they lose that unbeaten record. Started well, Wells, back in the team after a couple of weeks with the Achilles. And probably, Dennis, the scoreboard's a true reflection now. I mean, North for much of the match were challenging, but Sydney's had the best of it for the last half an hour.
Oh, no doubt about that, Bruce. And generally over the night, there was just that second quarter where you really admired the sort of ability and application of North Melbourne to fight back. At half-time, it was just 9 points, but the second half certainly has belonged to Sydney. And they've turned things around almost on the run, Sydney. This is pretty impressive stuff. They've got a lot of young players, but they're all good. And there's the final siren. Sydney winners. And the unbeaten run of North Melbourne comes to an end after 9. Great start. Some hard games to come.
So then let's go down into Bolton, who's with one of the stars of the night in Dan Hanbury.
Yeah, absolutely, Bruce. This guy was fantastic tonight. Dan, 34 disposals. The midfield really got on top.
Oh, I think early the pressure was right on. They really brought it. I think they were the number one team in terms of pressure differential before tonight, so we knew it was going to be a hot game, and we needed to withstand that. I thought we responded well in the third term and were able to hold on. So great win against who I think are right up there in terms of the good teams this year.
Tom Mitchell was just fantastic in there, just releasing from those stoppages. I mean, 10 goals for from stoppages is a big result.
Oh yeah, Tommy works really hard. He's a really hard contested ball player. He's done a few different roles for us this year. But no, it was a super game from Tommy, and he really helped the midfield mix out tonight.
And how well is the team playing? Obviously, the loss to Richmond would have put you in top position at this stage.
Yeah, we're pretty shattered with that loss. I mean, we were pretty poor that night. The response against Hawthorn and then again tonight was really pleasing. And we've got to keep making sure we back up, because if you're off a bit on your game, teams punish you. So it's still a long way to go, but we're giving ourselves a chance.
Well done, mate.
Thanks, mate.
24 Brownlow votes last year. How many this year? 43 times he's had 30 plus in his 154 games. Kennedy 30 again tonight. It's 46 times for him. So for just the third time in the last 70 years, they get to 8-2, Sydney. It's a terrific start by them.
And they're getting back to their very best, in as much as this is impregnable now at the SCG almost, isn't it? They haven't dropped a game. In fact, this is the closest one, I reckon.
It is.
Up here this year.
They've had, I think GWS was reasonably close as well, but they're the two teams. But a terrific effort, Dennis, by the Swans. They're 5-5 here. Plenty more still to come, including the presentations. We saw Adam Goods and Mickey O'Loughlin out there a moment ago. Sydney led from the gun.
You're watching Friday Night Footy post-game, brought to you by Ultratune.
Welcome back. A big win for the Sydney Swans. North Melbourne have their first defeat of the year. It's remarkable, boys, how often a team will get to a decent lead in the first quarter. The other team will fight back And basically, at the end of the match, it goes back to where it was. 23
it,
points of difference at quarter time, 26 at the end of the game, and in between it was a bit of an arm wrestle. But the Swans, well, they led from start to finish, and they deserved their win, and probably by that margin, to be honest. North were gallant in fighting back, but that was probably the difference. 4 goals tonight.
Quite a few things that contributed to this win. When you look over all of it, there's only 2% difference in disposal efficiency. It felt like 15 or 20.
Yeah.
They just really used the ball to much better advantage by foot.
Well, you would have thought with the domination of play that Sydney had that the margin would be even greater than it was, but it wasn't. I'm not sure why, whether Sydney would be disappointed with the amount of ball use and goals that they scored from the opportunities or not, but North Melbourne, you'd walk away from this game pretty disappointed because they've won 9 and they've played a really good side tonight and they haven't looked like they've been in the game.
Game was separated by the midfields, and Sydney just dominated in that area. They cleaned up all the time and pushed the ball forward. They had less inside 50s and more goals, and that was the key to it, and because it was all driven by their key midfielders who are tough, strong and hard to beat.
I was going to say, Doom, before we go to the lab, they beat them up early on, didn't they, Sydney Swans? They just got in and they put the squeeze right on them.
Well, even their swing-through players, their second-tier players, you're talking about Tom Mitchell as a second-tier player. He's ended up with
Not anymore, is he?
He said, well, he still is compared to you've got Hanbury, Kennedy, you've got Parker in there. He's a second swing through there, and he gets 40.
Yeah.
It's a pretty deep midfield.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Let's go into the Ultra-Tune lab now, and David King, Jared Healy. Jared's got the big smile on his face. Good on you, boys. What do you got for us?
It was a pretty basic game, wasn't it? They just were too tough for them for the majority of the game, the Sydney Swans, and it's a good point we just made off air there. The loss of Ben Jacobs, him not being in that midfield tonight. To clamp one of the guys that I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot in, whether it be Kennedy, Hanbury or Mitchell himself. I think that was significant tonight. The highlights of problem in there.
They'll be looking for answers, and Ben will be one, but they had hundreds of problems. I reckon you could have given 5 players a pass mark for North Melbourne, but for Sydney, the pressure was elite. If they can bring that, they're heading towards the top part of the finals. But really, the story for Sydney is the emergence of Tom Mitchell, as Dermot said. Zach Jones, I think, is a really important player for them because of his kicking capacity. Harry Marsh was good. That only his debut. It was a pretty flawless debut, and George Hewitt can kick the ball as well. So plenty of upside for Sydney.
Absolutely, including the 4 points that they stick next to their win-loss tally. Let's have a look at this in the third quarter. And Cunningham was magnificent out of the pack. 3.5 minutes in, it was a 14-point game at this stage. Next goal comes out, McGlynn on the right boot, and they'd put together a couple of goals in a couple of minutes and jumped out to a 20-point lead. That was enough room for them. And good play here coming through from McMillan for North Melbourne, and they just kept in touch. 14 points the difference halfway through this third quarter.
Don't often see this. Buddy leaves the ground. He normally likes to push and shove going for the big mark. Takes his hands away a little bit quick, but he's so devastating on the deck as well. And we watch Mitchell here. He gets on the end of this one. What is Atley thinking? Tom Mitchell puts the clamps on him and puts it right through the big sticks for another full pointer there. Big one over the top here. Gary Rowe, what's he thinking? We don't know. He doesn't know. So what hope has the opposition got? He steps on the inside, and what a fantastic goal.
Start the last quarter, little Nahas and Thomas were really dangerous for the Kangaroos. Without them, they would have been in trouble, but a smart little goal here. We're glad that he played on and kicked the goal rather than wait kick it, and he's done a good job. Bring the margin down to 20 points. Big Brownie, there was a guy up in our box that watching the game said the ball's in no better hands. Goes back and kicks a point.
Does kick a point.
He gave him
and the Swans power away here. All of a sudden you can have a look at one of their young guns, young Zach Jones. He gets on the end of this, kicks a banana kick on the right foot. He's only in a handful of games, a young man, and they are showing that the youth of this football club are really helping him along. And all of a sudden in the middle of the ground, a bit of a mess up. Another handball from Zach Jones. Parker outside. Into the forward line again. I think that was Mitchell, and then Buddy on the lead, as you would love. And this is like bread and butter for him. He just knocks it straight through the middle for his third. That puts him 32 points up. A game lead there. Daniel Wells kicks one late to make it 26, and you'll just see it here coming up in a minute with a good tackle by Zeeble. Break it out, and then all of a sudden Wells finishes it off with a goal to make it 26 points. It's the difference. But the game was won in the midfield, and the Swans were tougher and stronger.
So 21 scoring shots to 20 in the end to Sydney Swans. 14-7-91, North Melbourne 9-11-65. Buddy with 3, Thomas with 3. So the Indigenous forwards on Indigenous round doing beautifully for their respective sides. All right, let's have a look at some of the individuals tonight. Dan Hanbury was just absolutely magnificent. We're going to go through the three big guns, the three big possession winners of this Sydney Swans lineup.
That was beautiful knowledge of the players around him, teammates around him. So good at getting the ball to the outside by hand, but getting it to a position where his team can use it to best advantage.
I think they're quite incredible, aren't they? The way they work the ball from inside to outside into space quickly, and they're no better in the competition than this team.
He loves space, Hanbury. That's his spot. Get out on the outside. He's a very good player, and he's a star in this team. Little chip inside, and then he finds space on his own. He's always on his own. So
he's that good by foot, Sellers. Yeah. You kind of think, well, he mightn't be that tough because he's so sweet by foot. Tough. He's genuinely the hard article, isn't he? He is seriously tough.
Good, very good.
Takes some punishment. The other kid keeps going.
Tommy Mitchell.
Well, before you've named him because he got the medal tonight up there.
Oh.
The inaugural Goods O'Loughlin medal. We saw both Adam Goods and Mickey O up in the stand. Mickey O high-fiving his son, which was great to see. Good to see Adam Goods out there in the middle of the ground as well. And Tommy Mitchell picks up this very, very prestigious medal now for the Sydney Swans on Indigenous round. Let's have a look at his highlights
This kid's come a long way. He started off, they made it hard for him. They played him in the Magoos for a long, long time. But I tell you now, he's sensational. He tagged last week against Mitchell, did a good job. He marks, he tackles, he uses the ball well. His hands, he's really quick with his hands. Not quick with his feet, but very quick with his mind and hands. If you watch him here, just bang again, straight out to Hanbury.
Quite powerful, isn't he?
Very strong. Got us very strong through the core. He's a good player, and he added to their midfield with a bit more in and under than most others.
Yep, and the last bloke I want to have a look at is Kennedy, Josh Kennedy, just sensational, particularly early on when the game was in the balance. What do you have in the first quarter, Dermot? He had something like 13 possessions, kicked the goal, and
keep selling him up, Ed.
No, it's all right. I don't have to. I just got to watch the highlights, mate.
There's enough air in his tyres, Ed.
What about his tackling tonight, though? How many tackles did he have?
Enough air in his tyres.
He had 12 tackles.
12 tackles.
Seven clearances.
7 clearances. I think he had 19 contested possessions or 20 contested possessions.
I think he had 22.
22, was it? Oh, well, I stopped counting halfway through the last quarter.
Good player.
He was so good.
But I don't think Sellers has got him in the votes.
Well,
but that's for later on.
Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Yeah. Boys, let's go down to the Sydney rooms now and watch the Swans sing the song. Great stuff by the Sydney Swans. They knock off the undefeated until tonight North Melbourne side.
They regenerated themselves, haven't they, really? They were poor last year at the end of the year. They had injuries all over the place. They've punched in a whole lot of kids, 7 or 8 kids this year, and it's paid off.
And one of those young blokes tonight was Harry Marsh, who slipped in beautifully for Ted Richards, who's out with concussion. Let's go to our newsroom now, and Johnny Ralph. Ralphie, some news on Ted Richards.
Well, John Longmire is adamant tonight, Ed, that Teddy Richards' career is not threatened by concussions now, despite potentially 5 or 6 over his career and 2 in the last couple of years. Now, that's the latest concussion last week. Now, Tony Shaw from Fox Footy went with it on 3AW tonight. He said that potentially his career might be jeopardised. Longmire tonight, though, his brain scans were very good. He wasn't feeling great. He didn't do much this week, but we think that he will play again. Now, they play the Suns next week, potentially could miss that game, and then they play against the Giants. So even if he missed one more week, the career is not in jeopardy, and that is fantastic for a really valuable defender for Sydney.
No, they'll look after him. He's a good man, Ted Richards, so let's hope everything goes well for him. All right, speaking of blows to the head is sacrosanct, we hear in football, and as a result of that, it has brought its own problems, hasn't it? We don't want anyone getting hit in the head, but at the same time, we've got blokes sticking their heads out like turtles at times and dropping it down and lifting the shoulder to get a free kick, and tonight we had Exhibit A.
We certainly did. Now, take it as read that Brad Scott will launch a very spirited defence of Lindsay Thomas after this hit and a couple through the last few weeks. Now, it's actually only the 3rd and 4th incidents for him this year. Only had 2 leading into this game. But Brad Scott said this time last year, anyone who wants to question Lindsay Thomas is kidding themselves. They should question the lawmakers. They should question the umpires. He is playing to the rule. There is no asterisk that says this is the rule, but please don't play to it. Now, Alan Christensen leads the league this year. 17 free kicks. Toby McLean, 17. Anthony Miles, 12. Last year, Christensen, 38. Joel Selwood 34. So he actually hasn't really been in that picture. Now, Mark Evans, the AFL Football Operations Manager, is on 3AW tomorrow. It's clearly going to be question number one. You were so strong about this, Derm, at half-time. It's a question of what the AFL can actually do to prevent this, though.
Yeah, right. I agree. I agree with Scotty. Don't question him because he's bending the rules. Question the lawmakers. They're the ones who allow this to go on. We had 40 free kicks given tonight. 16 were head-high tackles. Probably 2 were legitimate, where the player with the ball didn't drop, sag and draw the free kick. It's a plague.
Well, Lindsay Thomas is drawing all the heat tonight. Let's have a look at what happened at the 15-minute mark, and the Swans got a goal out of this. And just to balance it up a bit, let's have a look at Hewitt. And any difference here, boys?
It's the next one here.
It's the next one. Here it is. Boom. Now he stuck the head out like a turtle, didn't he?
Yeah, he turns his leading shoulder at the player.
He went away from where the tackler was coming, and he actually picked the ball up, if you remember, from there. So you can't go stand up straight up.
No.
So that's slightly different, but we understand what you're saying.
Yeah. What did his arms do? His arms made sure that
he was clear.
It was that thing. He had it here, and he moves it out like that. There's no way. Once you put contact here with the bloke,
he can't reach it. His tummy's long arms.
So he's reached it. We're going to lose the set here. It's gone off.
So if you go to tackle me across there, there's no way you can keep your arms.
But we did this last week.
I know that.
By the arm.
Do you know what
these are blokes who bench press 300 pounds. You can't stop them making you ride up. You can't stop them. Well, they're in the gym. The weak blokes press 250 pounds. You can't stop it.
Okay, but that's what they're doing it for, Doom. So
and that's why the rule makers have to change this.
Don't be going, Lindsay Thomas. He's doing exactly.
I'm not against Lindsay Thomas.
And I'm
not against Lindsay Thomas. Just the way he backed in and went looking for it.
I know, but the point is, the whole idea of the game is to get the ball, get a shot at goal. If they make the rules,
is it in the spirit of the game? I know that you can back out of that. He knows it's not in the spirit of the game.
We know it's not the spirit of the game.
Don't drag me in,
spirit of the game, but
you were screaming upstairs.
Let's go. Where are we going? To go to the lab, are we? No, we're going to Tom Mitchell.
Tom Mitchell.
Is Tom ready to go? Tom, you can join in the chorus here, mate. Hey, Tom, how are you, pal? Leather poisoning for the second week in a row. Congratulations, you're magnificent, and you must be so proud to have got the Adam Goods Mick O'Loughlin medal tonight for the first time. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, obviously a huge honour. Mickey O and Goodsy, what they've done for our club, and what they're doing for the community, and all the things like that. The award means a lot. And
you wouldn't have seen that in the stand, but Bazza was there having a few beers tonight, mate, enjoying things. He was having a good old time up in the stand, your old man Barry Mitchell.
Yeah, it's always good to have him along at the games, and he's been a great support for me for my whole life and my whole career, really. So I'm sure I'll catch up with him tonight.
Well done on tonight. Congratulations on the award. Mickey O, he's quite a character. He shook your hand as you received the award. Same with Goodsy. He's not short of a word, Mickey O. What did he say when you won, 50% of his medal?
He just said congratulations. He's normally a bit better than that, Mick. He's normally got something funny to say, but it was just a simple congratulations. And, like I said, the award meant a lot, and, I'll cherish it.
Well, mate, as we said, a magnificent performance tonight. Where have you found your confidence in the last few weeks? I mean, you've had to battle through the reserves at times. Very hard midfield to break into. But taking on Mitchell last week, your namesake Sam Mitchell, as a tagger, and then tonight, not only getting the ball, kicking goals, setting them up, you're the complete player tonight in the midfield.
I think I'll sort of just feed off my teammates a little bit. Obviously, playing alongside guys like Josh Kennedy and Dan Hanbury, I'm learning from the best players in the comp and training alongside them every day. So I'm grateful to be playing alongside those guys, and really, happy to be part of an awesome win tonight.
Do you think the coach would be happy with your performance, beating him by that margin, or do you think you've sort of felt like you dominated the game a bit more than the score sort of was at the end?
Yeah, I think he'll still be very happy. Obviously, North's been on the top of the ladder all year and 9-0 before tonight, so it was a huge effort by the boys, and there's always things to work on. I think North had a bit of momentum there in the second quarter, but to our credit, we're able to fight back and have a really good win.
Tommy, you got some good players in that midfield, and you're just one of them. I mean, there's Kennedy, there's Parker, there's a whole host of midfielders in that area, Hanbury as well, and also Jack, and there's a few other kids as well. So you're well served.
Yeah, definitely. All the guys you mentioned are all stars of the competition, and then we've got, young players like Georgie Hewitt and Harry Cunningham who go through there and contribute as well. So it's a really even spread, and seems to be working for us pretty well.
Tommy, just so we know from a coaching perspective, I mean, you are thoroughly entrenched in that team now. You're one of the prime movers. When you were getting 50-odd possessions back in the Magoos, in the twos, a couple of years ago, what was it that Johnny Longmire and the coaching staff wanted you to do to get you to senior footy? You would have thought 50 possessions a week was going to get you in automatically, but it didn't.
Yeah, it was obviously a pretty challenging period a few years ago, but I did have a few things I wanted to work on, and hopefully I've improved them. And then also, the main thing for me was probably just getting my body right. I didn't really have a good run at it. I had a lot of niggles and injuries, so I was, the club wanted me to have a full pre-season, and I was able to do that a few years ago, and that's really helped my fitness to run games out.
Good on you, Tom. You were fantastic again tonight. Second week in a row you've been best on ground. Really great purple patch for you, buddy, and enjoy the night.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Good on you,
Thanks a lot.
mate.
Cheers.
Tom Mitchell,
No, he was top 5 last week.
What's that?
He was top 5 last
He was best on ground by that far. It wasn't
top
funny, and he's best on ground tonight. Second best behind Josh Kennedy.
Behind Josh Kennedy.
Yeah.
Top 5.
Anyway, 38,498 saw him in rare form tonight. Let's go into the lab now for Ultra Tune. Boys, it was a pretty comprehensive win by the Swans tonight. As I said, wasn't pretty, but they did everything they had to do to get the points.
They were clinical, weren't they, Ed? They just, from minute one, they set the theme, and the theme was pretty simple. When the Kangaroos win at Jared, we're going to put that much pressure on them. They're going to virtually concede, and that's what happened post-stoppage more often than not.
I think it's very difficult to work out what the Kangaroos are after tonight. It's impossible to believe they're that bad, given that they've had a fair run. But it's also impossible to not think that the Sydney Swans are heading to some pretty successful times at the end of the season, given that they've unearthed a couple of really good players. Their pressure was incredible, and John Longmire, every time we talk to him, he talks about pressure. They've got a multi-talented forward line. I'm a bit with Bomber, though. Given how much they dominated around stoppages, I'm surprised they didn't kick a few more goals. But that's how they play, and that's why I thought it would be a 22-goal match.
I think you've got to keep this in perspective. The record this year is 18 wins and 36 losses when you travel. It is tough to travel to away grounds to play good opposition like the Sydney Swans are. It's always stacked against you. They have played 6 debutants, the Swans, which is the most in the competition. So they're evolving and they're changing right before our very eyes, and they've got a lot of class there. Let's have a look at what they did out of stoppage and have a look at some of their ability to score. I thought their ability to score in the forward 50 is one of the goals. They kicked 5 goals from forward 50 stoppages. Now, that's twofold. You can look at the defence if you want to be negative about it, or you can say, how organised is Sydney? Team first at every opportunity.
Well, I think it was a combination of both. The Swans brought their A-grade pressure, their A-game pressure, and North Melbourne brought fumbles, they brought lackadaisicness, they brought no energy, and so it was very difficult. But you highlighted at the start of the game just how bad they were in the first 3 rounds, and they were back to their very worst. So I'm interested to listen to Brad Scott on Monday night when I've got him on the couch, just to see his assessment of that element of it.
And I think when you look at the numbers, and we just have a look at what they've conceded across the course of the year, had a really poor first 5 weeks, and I guess round 3 highlighted the problem. They worked on it for round 4, Melbourne and Fremantle, and then from that point forward, they had a fantastic 5-week period where they basically gave away 80 points for total games in those 5 games. 64 tonight.
Smashing.
It's a smashing, isn't it? And I think that what that means is that back to the drawing board. Where did they go wrong? Was it in the planning? Was it players charging in? Was it players just not fulfilling their roles? And Brad will inform us on that, I've got no doubt, on Monday night. But I think they were just out-toughed at times tonight.
Well, the toughest man, it seems to be week in, week out, is Josh Kennedy. He's got plenty of good lieutenants, and he's brought another one along with Tommy Mitchell, and Zach Jones is fantastic, it seems, in that department as well. In fact, Josh Kennedy joins us after another fantastic performance. Welcome to you, Josh.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks for having me.
Well, you certainly led the way from the start of the opening bounce. In some ways, it was shocking for us here just how dominant you were. There wasn't that same response from the Kangaroos that we came to Friday night footy expecting.
Yeah, well, it was obviously a big focus for us coming into the game. We knew that they've got a class midfield, and obviously with Goldstein leading the charge there, we had to be on top of our game. So the way we started was a real positive, but a team that are 9-0 aren't just going to hand it to you, and that showed in the second quarter when they came back.
What do you talk about as a playing unit regarding pressure? How do you measure that or get a feel for that out on the field? Because when we're watching the game on the screen, we can just see it. It's relentless. What sort of things do you look for? What sort of cues?
Yeah, well, we've got, I think we've got live pressure and contested footy updates throughout the game in the coach's box. So we get it throughout the game. But as you said, it's one thing getting it and knowing if you're up or down in that area, but it's another thing being able to do something about it during the game. And it is really tough. Obviously, you know, this first quarter we had it, the second quarter they were on top, and Horse addressed it at half time, and we were able to come out and get back to the basics and get on top in that area, which inevitably helps in winning the game.
Josh, watching you very closely, it seemed that you had done a lot of work on Todd Goldstein's hit zones, because I think you intercepted his hit out many, many times tonight.
Yeah, well, you know, it's no secret that he's probably one of, if not the best ruckman in the comp at the moment. So I think you were quoted, mate, it's easier, it's harder if it's a bit 50-50. It's easier knowing if the oppo's going to win or if we're going to win. It's harder if it's 50-50. But look, I thought Tippo and Sinks competed really hard all night, but we did sort of go in thinking that Goldstein may have the upper hand with the taps.
If you wind the clock back 18 months, it was really difficult for Tom Mitchell to get a game at Sydney, and you really taught him some tough lessons, a lot of tough love early on. What have you seen in him as recently as the last couple of weeks where he's been best on ground that's brought his game to this level?
Yeah, as you said, it has been pretty tough love because he's been a class player. You could tell from the moment he stepped foot in the club, and he's really had to do a long apprenticeship and work his way into the side through different positions, whether at half forward and now getting a run through the midfield. But look, he's a good kid that has got obviously a lot of talent, can find the footy, and he's just another key, I guess, to our midfield at the moment that's going along pretty nicely.
35 disposals, 22 contested possessions and a goal. I think you've earned a rest, mate. Go and have a spell. Well done.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
He's a beauty. He's in ripper form. He's getting a lot off the ball, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great ball magnet. He dishes it out magnificently, and he's got a great posse around him. Tough team, isn't it? Let's
have a look at the breakdown of the quarters, if you like, contested possessions, pressure, and just what that did to the scoreboard. And I think that when you play the Sydney Swans, if you can't commit to 4 quarters of nose to the grindstone, putting your head in the hole and really competing with contested possession, it's very simplistic. There's clearances involved, but it's basically any time the ball's on the ground and up for grabs. And they were dominant there for the 3 quarters. Kangaroos made a charge in the second term, but they were quickly halted, Jared.
Yeah, if you want to beat the Swans, you've got to beat them in a lot of areas, but it's got to all start with contested ball. And the contested ball numbers, again, haven't lied.
Well, let's have a look at some vision, Jared, because I think that it's evident what we see with these guys. You can see here, this is at the back of a centre bounce. The ball has just spilt. Sam Wright takes 5 steps really aggressively off the half-back flank and can never recover against Ben McGlynn, who takes his time, uses the composure and all the space available and kicks a goal. And that's back to that vision we showed in the pre-game of the half-backs being a little bit too aggressive at the wrong times. And I'm going to be fascinated what Brad Scott has to say on Monday night.
Well, it's hard to know what was real tonight for them because their energy levels were horrendous. Their fumbling was amazingly prevalent amongst all of it, but even stuff like that they've addressed and clearly focused on from the midway through the season, that fell apart again today as well.
9-1, Ed. Maybe they were just due for one.
Yeah, they certainly were. In their history, they hadn't gone 10-zip, so you can't put too much against them. They're up against quality opposition tonight, and they fell over, but they were competitive for most of the night. So as much as they'll be disappointed, the Kangaroos, you wouldn't write them off at any stage at this stage of the season, that's for sure. Dermot, your votes were Schick votes last week.
Excuse
Mark
me?
McClure is right to go with the Schick votes again tonight. What have you got for us, Mark?
Now, I'd like to get through the votes before you attack, okay? Can we start that? Can we just start a little sort of trend here?
Let's hope they're good.
Well, I went one with Daniel Hanbury. I thought he was fantastic. His outside work was terrific. He's a class... Excuse me. I haven't had a standing ovation for a long time. Josh Kennedy has 2. I know Ed's not too happy about that, but he's a fantastic player, and we know where it starts from in the middle of the ground. These guys, and Tommy Mitchell had 3 votes. They had 120 possessions between them. They had 52 contested possessions out of the 169, and they had 27 tackles between the 3 of them. They are the reason why this side wins so many times.
So in theory, you just went to the top 3 possession getters in the Swans.
Contested possession getters.
Well, least line of resistance, you know that. Least line of resistance.
You just went to the stats.
I think it's smart. I think it's smart. I think you've done a good job.
I don't need your help, Bomber.
I know you don't need my help.
Bomber, Grundy misses for the second week in a row after being the dominant defender.
He was very, very good tonight, wasn't he?
top 5?
Actually, I thought McVeigh was pretty good down back.
Yeah.
He was their best down back, but I just couldn't squeeze him in.
Did you change him late, Mark?
You did.
No,
too.
I did him at quarter time, actually. I thought that'll do.
He changed them about 3
Who was
minutes
best
ago.
for you, Bomber, if you were giving the votes? Who would you have given the votes?
Probably Mitchell.
Yeah, not Kennedy?
Kennedy for me.
probably.
Yeah. Kennedy for me.
There's a few water skiing behind Kennedy tonight. I thought.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Anyway.
they gave him the medal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does that make it right?
yeah.
Sorry, mate. There he is. He was magnificent tonight, Tommy Mitchell. And well done to him.
Okay,
Michael O'Loughlin and Adam Goods and the Marn Crook Trophy.
You're watching the Swans and the Roos. This is Friday Night Footy on Fox.